as we get the show on the road. Okay, 7:01 folks, I'm going to call the special meeting of the Stonington Board of Finance to order. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I'll note for the record that all members of the Board of Finance are present tonight. So, we're going to do I guess, budget presentations is the next item on the agenda, and we're going to hear from solid waste first. So, I know Jill's here somewhere, and we'll try and get you out of here as quickly as possible.
I'll start. Does anybody have
Make sure
any?
your mic is on. And it's kind of pointed at you.
Thank you for seeing us this evening. My name is Jill Senior. I'm the Director of Solid Waste. And with me this evening is John Walters. He is our new foreman at the transfer station, taking over for Tony Gomes, who's retired after 36 years. So we welcome John. He's a great add to our department. And today we'll go over our budget with you. Did anybody have any questions or anything that they felt that they wanted to discuss first so we can address those issues?
The salary lines all seem pretty straightforward, so does anybody have any questions on that? Block?
I guess my only question is, do you feel like you have the resources that you guys need, considering how busy the transfer station is?
I'm losing my voice.
Go ahead.
I feel like we do. Some of our equipment is on its last leg, but as it stands right now, I think we're managing. We just got a new machine. It actually had to be recalled. It's going back to W.I. Clark, but we're maintaining right now.
Anybody else with any questions? Gene?
Just a comment. Whenever I go to the transfer station, I'm very impressed with the people who work there, their professionalism. When a little old lady has trouble lifting a bag, somebody always steps forward to help. So
Thank you.
it's a very good experience.
We've got a great team. We really do.
But I do have a question. I'm glad that you have that new sticker so that there's every effort to confine the people who go there to residents. But I still see a fair number of out-of-state plates. And particularly, what's the situation with people who come in with Rhode Island plates?
Sometimes it can be contractors from out of town that are working within the town. Other times it's dual residency, seasonal people. We've got a lot of seasonal people that come into the area. We still ask them to provide proof of residency, license, and some form of tax bill or something to go along with it. That way we can verify that they do pay taxes in town.
Tell you, I want to make a general comment too. I've been going there for years and years and years, and everyone's great. Gonna miss Tony, but well, you got some big shoes to fill. But I know you can, because I think he started getting lazy towards the end. I'm just kidding. I agree with Gene, everybody's been great, and you keep it in such great shape. Stuff is organized, it's really a great experience. Thank you very much for running it.
Appreciate that, thank you.
Yes, appreciate
And I'll echo all that, as you well know, I'm a frequent flyer.
Yes. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to say I have several complaints about
I'm going to cut you off, David.
it. I can't
I'm
be
sorry I
a
asked for
conformist.
ID.
Don't address him, Dave.
We all set?
All set?
Everybody okay? Any questions on anything in the operating budget?
I have a general question.
Sure, go ahead.
Jill, in the narrative, you highlight the need for renewed financial incentive to invest in waste reduction, recycling, and composting. I'm not seeing that reflected in your budget anywhere. How do you plan to?
Advertising and publication.
Okay, so,
We've increased it with that so we can have more printed material. So we can, we're actually going to do 2 Saturdays at the farmer's market this month. As you know, it did boost our food waste diversion project that we have at the transfer station. So if we can have that printed material, I think that is a good way to capture a lot of people that aren't on social media and actually like the printed. So you will see an increase in the printed materials.
have you thought about hiring outside help to help you advertise those efforts?
I hadn't thought about it.
Thank you.
Anyone? Nope, Mike?
Do you have a rough sense of the timeline for the Preston facility and what savings that might yield? I know it's kind of
Where
a broad
we
question.
are really hoping that it will open September of this year.
Oh,
And as for the savings, all the food waste that we are currently collecting at the transfer station, we will see that the cost to process that dramatically drop, as we'll only have to bring it to Preston. And being a SCARA member, we will have a reduced disposal fee. We don't know what that disposal fee is going to be just yet, but it will be a savings, and it certainly won't be, the $83 a ton that we're paying for residential waste.
Are you happy with the hauler at this point, the new hauler?
I am. I am happy. It's been, a challenge, but I think we've got the bugs worked out. They're very good. They have cameras on the truck, so when people are non-compliant with yellow bags or, contaminated recycling, we can address those with the homeowner, get them correct information so they can follow our program. The amount of missed collections has dropped dramatically. So we're barely having any problems with that, and I think it's finally evening out, and I don't have any complaints, and I'm happy.
Okay.
Anything else? So I guess we can go on and take a look at the CIP budget.
Jill, while they're getting set up, building on Mike's question about the Preston facility, so would the plan be for all residents? Like, would the hauler pick it up for all residents and bring it to Preston, or would it be like a special add-on like it is now?
It will probably be a special add-on. I think Black Earth will also be able to reduce their prices for the curbside convenience collection for residents, because they won't have to be transferring it all the way up to Massachusetts. It'll be right here in Preston. There will be savings on that, so hopefully we'll be able to give the residents a reduced rate as well.
Yeah, exciting.
Okay, so there's only you guys only have 2 requests for, under CIP, and just as background, because I'd seen some comments in the write-up about pricing and the vendor not being able to give us a price potentially this summer due to the impact of tariffs. I'd asked Jill to see if she could get a price on a truck now with the idea that we might be able to move some money around and buy it this year, but my understanding is since they had some trucks available that I don't believe there are anymore, so Jill can speak to that.
Yeah,
You wanna-
we're trying. I mean, he's still looking into it. I've got work with a great vendor, and he is trying to locate a stock piece of equipment that maybe we could get right now before any additional tariffs or price increase or inflation would hit it. But right now, I don't have that amount, so we are just budgeting the amount that we insist.
Right, but the idea was if there was potentially a $20,000 or $30,000 price increase because of,
And we haven't given up on it.
Right.
I mean, he's still working on it, so it's just, I couldn't get the numbers for this meeting.
okay, that's fine.
So, yeah, I'm still working on it with Ed, and hopefully he'll get something back.
And then the other concern that's surfaced is snow removal costs, so I think this idea is in, what's the word I'm looking for? Not limbo, but it's,
Back burner.
we'll see what happens.
Yep.
But anything else you want to say about the roll-on, roll-off truck, or does everybody
No,
understand the need for it?
Yeah, I think everybody, we need to, because the other one is going to age out, and it is going to possibly take quite some time to get the new equipment. It's better to replace these trucks when they age out versus trying to limp them along. As we know, the expenses of repairing them skyrocket after they hit a certain age, so it's good for us to get.
Can you put in, can you water it now, even though it might not be available for a while? Could you pin down a price and then water it?
I did ask that question, and he's looking in to see what he can get as a,
Let's get
As a
that
stock
thing,
truck.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right, but the idea is if we can act sooner and save a significant amount of money, it also helps take it out of this year's CIP, so it's a win-win in my opinion. But anyway, so Joe's working on that. And then the only other request is, belongs to, request to replace the worn-out pickup truck that you've been asking about and then deferring on for quite some time, so.
Yeah.
You want to just tell us about that truck?
So the red truck, the Ford that we have now, I've never been a fan of it. It's got a lot of issues. It's got underbody, carriage rot, it's got steering issues, and it needs to be replaced, and this is the year to do it. So we were looking into a 250, but after working with the highway department this past snowstorm, and the price that we can get a 354, which is very comparable, we've bumped it up to the 350. So when we do get hit with snowstorms like this, we can be there to assist the highway department and have another plow for our transfer station as well.
Just looking at the line item here, the last column, it looks like we have money left over from previous year. We can use, am I reading this correctly? It's
No,
available.
that was pre-funded. We were funding this over 3 years. That was the money we were building. This is 26, 27 will be the last year, giving us enough money to actually purchase the vehicle.
Yeah.
Okay, so that money, the 220,932, is it there or?
It's there, yeah.
It's there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we can use that to help pay for this, right?
Yes, that's what it's there for.
The 220 is for the roll-on, roll-off truck.
Well, yeah, that's,
Right, well, we have previously funded both trucks,
okay,
okay?
yeah.
So,
Yeah, well, I guess we have money available to help pay for this and the pickup truck, right? Or am I not reading this right?
No, I believe you're.
Yeah, they just need more.
So, yeah, so we're in pretty good shape.
Oh, yes, this has been an annual ask
Yeah.
for several years, and we do have money banked. So, yeah.
Good.
it's a
And
good-
they're both A's, which means we've previously funded it, and it's something we've been planning on, so. And I don't know if anybody else has taken a look at the pickup truck, but I haven't. I certainly wouldn't drive it.
I'd be happy to give a tour if anybody wants to come down.
I think it needs to.
Test drive.
So everybody okay with solid waste? All right, thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
I understand you would like to get out of here as quick as possible.
Not that-
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay, I guess it's, Public Works is up next. Tom, let me start by saying I hope you enjoyed your retirement.
I did.
And thank you for stepping up to the plate.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tom Curioso, for those who don't know me. I was the previous Deputy Public Works Director here, and now I'm the acting interim Public Works Director. I held the other position for approximately 10 years, and I've had this one for about 3 weeks. To my right side is Chris Greenlaw, our town engineer, and to my left is Nate Michelli, our general foreman for highway and Public Works. So we have the 3 divisions, which are DPW Highway, we have facilities, and we have engineering. So I have a couple of lines that I've had increases this year, probably more so than others, percentage-wise, and not so much dollar-wise with some of them. I was going to hit a couple of those for you, maybe first, if that's okay. And then if you guys have anything else that you want to come at, questions, between the 3 of us, I think we can field the questions on any specific line that's over or under how you feel about it, but that's good.
Excuse me, may I ask you to use the microphone?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Can you hear me now? Better?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Tom, just go ahead and proceed.
Yeah, okay. I have a few bullet pointed ones that we all thought that stood out. So for Public Works Highway Operations and Maintenance, we've had a few increases, and some of them are new lines, some of them are altered lines. So I can start with line 24, which is the sign and line striping. And this used to be historically in police's, their operations budget. And we would have to go to them and ask how much money's in here that we could pay the lines. So that would be new pavement that we did for the year, and also other roads that we do. It's approximately 115 miles of road that we service in town as town road. We don't do all the double lines and single lines on those, but we do probably 50%. And sometimes that grows, or sometimes it goes away, depending on the 5 lines that we put on the side. Something like Coogan Boulevard has many lines with the arrows. And the money from this also comes out to do our stop bars when we pave all new roads and existing ones. And it comes out to do our crosswalks. So
Tell
it's,
me what page you're on.
70, my 70, so 70 in your book.
In the
Operating.
SIP book?
no, by the operations.
Operating. Okay.
70?
So that would be line 24.
Okay.
Under the heading highway.
Oh, thank you. Right.
big striping year.
Yes, it is.
It's also the traffic lights also come out of that for the power, monthly power bill. And the only one that the town owns is the Coogan Boulevard one, so the maintenance for that repair comes out of that.
There's 9 traffic lights in total. We own the one on Coogan, as Nate said. The other ones are all DOT lights on state roads, but we pay the power bill for that. So approximately that's $6,360 a year to pay for the traffic lights. And then obviously the repairs are expensive and they're unpredictable, especially on that Coogan Boulevard light. You know, when it goes out, it's a major catastrophe. So we put up temporary stop signs. We send the guys out, or Nate goes out himself and does that. But you can imagine the traffic jams we get down there when it happens. The next one I have is line 26, same page. That's highway equipment. And I think I've explained this in years past. This is all our small equipment, chainsaws, demo saws, backpack blowers, weed whackers, hedge trimmers, these things. But the cost of these things has been really going up. Certainly even since COVID, it's going up even more. So to keep pace with what we need to buy and have in stock and be ready for a hurricane or storm events, we found that we just didn't have enough money in the account and we were cutting ourselves short. So what happens is we keep trying to fix our old ones, but these become disposable. I think it's the same thing as your homeowner. You bring it to the shop to be repaired, and they tell you you're better off to spend $450 for a new one because it's $600 to us to get the parts and put it back together. The next one I have is line 31.
Tom, before you move on, can you speak to how much of that equipment is currently battery operated versus gasoline?
We have battery operated hand blowers.
Chainsaws, blowers, and weed whackers. The guys that do the athletic fields have really tried to transfer over to some of that stuff, and each year we get more and more.
Percentage-wise in the equipment?
Percentage right now, I'd say about 10%.
Yeah, I'd say 10.
10% is battery operated?
Yeah.
Is there a plan to increase that percentage?
We can increase it, but it's a lot more money to buy something battery, obviously, versus gas. So we're happy to do that, it's just we need more money to, like take for example, we've been looking at a plate compactor for doing asphalt repair and stuff. A gas one is probably around $2,000, the battery one is $5,000.
Sure. So which line has the gasoline costs?
The gasoline?
Right. The fuel for the small one?
Line 36.
36. Thank you.
So the next one with a significant increase is garage diagnostics equipment and tools. And this also includes, and this is where the increase mostly is the software upgrades and the software subscription renewals. We have several brands of large trucks. We have Peterbilts, we have Internationals, we have Cummins engines in some of them. And each year we have to do those and renew those to keep them going. And every year it seems to go up, range from anywhere from $800 to $2,200 for a subscription. And you just can't fix the trucks without it. Nate said that when we're sitting out here, that they want you to bring it to the dealer, but our mechanics are more than capable of doing it. They just need to have the software to plug into the trucks to do it. So we'd like to increase that line as well. The next one is 41, kind of in the same vein. It's general repairs and maintenance, which is a little bit misleading when you read the title of the line, but it's really for the maintenance and repair of the vehicles and equipment in the garage. And what we're running into there is just the parts costs are just astronomical for the exhaust systems. And I've said this before in previous years, they pay $5,000 for one of these particular filters for after treatment in the diesel trucks. So we just can't seem to make it. And what happens is we start with a deficit every year on July 1st. So we have 2 or 3 trucks sitting there that haven't been repaired because we don't have the money. And now immediately it's $40,000 right off the budget. So every year we run into the negative. So we'd like to increase that if possible. Next one is 46, line 46, and that's drainage materials. The town still has multiple family catch basins out of the 2,150 that we have in town. There's 44 miles of pipe. There's many areas that need pipe replacement. The existing with aluminum and corrugated metal of different types, and they're failing. And the salt that we put on the roads, we're kind of the victim of our own thing that we do, but it seems to work good to get the roads black, and people are expecting it that way. But also it's just age. And just in a couple of examples, I figured that so you can understand it. A catch basin, just the components to put it together, and for our guys to repair without an outside contractor, it's like $1,500 for the components. And if we had to do one length of pipe, it's an HDPE pipe, 15-inch diameter, and it's 20-foot length of pipe, that would be $520 just for one length. And normally when they get into these basins, they have to probably break into a couple of different directions with a piece of pipe. So it's probably $1,000 worth of pipe, $1,500 for the basin, and I don't know, we average probably about, what, 40 repairs a year, Nate?
I would say that.
Yeah. And then we also try to support our paving by having it done in-house with our crew instead of having the contractors do it, because it's very expensive, very fast, drives the paving costs way up. Also, let's see, number 51, that's the annual fertilization program. The cost on this is we're trying to implement more environmentally friendly fertilizers and turf products. I know a lot of people say it's difficult to do, and I agree, because they're not as effective as the other stuff that we use, but it's a trend that we're trying to go to now more. The problem is that they cost a little bit more money, so that's it. And we're trying to do that and the other turf products the same way. This next line, it's 54, a couple lines down, that's our field work. It kind of goes with them now that our athletic fields, the more frequent irrigation repairs they're getting, well pump rebuilds, anticipation of needs for the new athletic field at the BOW property. We anticipate that for the fall, right? So we'll be going to that into the fall season and the following spring as well. So we'll need a little bit more money there. And the last one, my way, is number 56, will come as no surprise to anyone. It's been a very harsh winter, 25, 26. So the materials budget and the labor budget, we looked at both of those. And we're kind of in a serious deficit now. I think the latest calculation came up with labor and materials right now, we're about minus $287,000. And I don't think all the overtime is actually calculated in that, but about 3 for around number 300. So it's been a tough one. And last year, just so the newer members understand this, we had asked for more money in materials and for labor especially, but the consensus of the board at the time was that if you run over, please come back and ask for more money, and which I guess we will be doing. We're trying to find a different source we have in our budget.
No money for you.
No snowfall for you next year. And that's pretty much all I have for the glaring ones in highway. But if you have any questions on any others, I'm sure the three of us will answer.
For a maintenance schedule, in making a decision on potholes and resurfacing and so on, as you were speaking, I was thinking back to a friend of ours who worked for a couple of municipalities, including the town of, city of Hartford. And he put together this really lovely software program looking at the age of the roadway and the amount of use and so on, so as to be as scientific about it as possible. You know, I'm not trying to sell his program, but
We actually have a program like that. We use an engineering company called Beta, and they right now are about to produce in the next 1 to 2 weeks, we think, our latest road, they call it RSR, road surface rating, and we'd like to be around 75 out of 100. That's about an average to decent, and I think we're probably below that, below the 70 mark. I'd say like probably 67, 68, but we'll know in a couple of weeks. We talked to one of their principals the other day on Friday. He was on vacation this week, but he will be back and coming back to visit us with that. We had that program going pretty good. The previous public works director believed in more of a hybrid, where we would go out and look at the roads, which I'm not totally against either. We have more eyes on it than anyone. Certainly Nate does in his guys. But it's good to have that. It acts as a little Bible for us. They calculate all the square yards that need to be paid. They calculate the cost for current times. And we can go through there, and it kind of takes, as they say, the politics out of paving. That's how we sold it to everybody in the beginning. And it's something that needs to be done on a minimum of every 3 years, I think.
It's about 10 now, have we done it?
I think 2016 was the last one. You know, we did a brief one in 21, but it wasn't at full scale. So this one should be full scale, with exactly what you're talking about. So people don't wonder, like, why did you stop at this road and stop here? And we can give them a rating of the road. And then they offer several treatments that you can do. We use micro paving, we use crack sealing, we use, I don't know if anyone still remembers the chip seal. We used to put the stone on the road in an oil or an emulsion base. That's available too. So there's a lot of different practices and methods that we could use, and they recommend those as well. And you used that when you were doing it?
Correct.
Just one comment. Again, Chris Greenlaw, town engineer. It's a great idea to have a software. We're not going to advocate any in particular, but the company we've been using for years, using the town that I was with, and like anything else, it's called road service rating. And I know we have some new members, and I just want to talk on the software. So road surface rating is like going to a doctor and just having the doctor look at your physical body, kind of giving you a rating of your health. What we do here is we take it to the next step. So we get a road surface rating, we augment that with, we talk to our highway staff. This is the time of year where water's coming up out of the pavement. We look at the cracking from the road surface rating. Engineering will get together and we'll do some test bits. It's like blood work, what's going on below the surface, so we can see what's going on as far as, you know, our drainage and our subbase. So yes, we do use the software. It's very helpful, but we augment that with the expertise of staff and engineering. We do test bits, put that all together, and then work with our vendors with mobs, because they charge us as we move. So that you'll see various areas in town. Oh, you did 5 roads here, 3 roads here, 4 roads here. Spread it out, and there's a lot that goes into it, but I just wanted to share that we don't stop there just with the software.
And I like it for the fact about the economics of it. If we just have a vendor or a contractor come in, paving company, and we say, can you measure these roads for us and give us the square yards and everything else? Sometimes there's a dispute on the actual square yards and the area we're going to cover. So we have someone to keep them honest and like, look, this has been measured out on Google, this is accurate. We may go up and down because you may be putting 2 inches or 3 in spots, and that may affect the pricing, but let's not argue about 100 is 100. And that used to happen all the time before we got this program. And it wouldn't matter whether it was off a state contract or if we put out a bid or whatever it was, so it keeps everyone honest.
And regarding the snow removal, someone had questioned me or had mentioned to me that we are plowing roads in the town that aren't town roads. Is that accurate?
I would only say it's accurate if there's a medical or police emergency. We would go down and we would open the road. Some of the private roads in Lawrence Point, we don't do them on a regular basis. Osborne Point, for example, we've had emergencies down there over the time, like during the blizzard. Just so an emergency.
So you don't normally do that?
No.
So that's incorrect?
That is incorrect. And we have plow route maps that this beta company has done for us for each section of the town. And we send those out, and the drivers have those routes right in their trucks. You know, obviously, if we call them on the radio and tell them there's someone having a heart attack, go down to Osborne Point, and that did happen one time. And some of these other dirt roads and private roads, but we wouldn't do it for any other reason, really.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to save engineering for last because it's the most complicated.
So is anybody,
If there's anything else in highway, operations.
nope. Okay, where are we going next?
Go to facilities.
Sorry, could I just back up?
Sure.
One question on my end. Can you just speak to there's a new position being added? Is that?
The new position for Public Works Highway is one that was approved in last year's budget, but we had to cut the year in half because there wasn't enough funding to do it full-time for 12 months. So anytime after February, we're at that point now. So we'll be probably starting to advertise that. Well, it's March now. I would say end of this month, early April, we'll try to get that out there. Right, it'll be a small truck driver. So one of our lowest paid positions, but we'll be happy to get the employee to help out with the athletic fields and with snow plowing and all the other stuff that we do.
Would you consider a large truck driver? I'm sorry. I try to
A truck that is
do
small.
things to make this more tolerable.
We would take any employees that we could get, a large truck driver. To be honest, sometimes it's harder to fill the large truck driver than it is the small to get a qualified candidate, because you have to pass the drug test and you have to have random testing while you're an employee. And in the past, we used to get 75, 80 employees, and people took them in, prospective employees. Now, what's it, 7 or 8 maybe?
The past 2, we've had 2 people.
I've had 2 people apply. Yeah. College, you know, why don't you want to have it? And that, they don't maintain the CDL, and they need a CDL to drive the large trucks. So we have enough CDL drivers because we require that with our equipment operators, so that helps as well. But it's an industry-wide problem, we're not unique. I've talked to other towns, East Line, and other places, Westerly, Rhode Island has the same problem, they can't get CDL drivers.
You all set? Want to go to the facilities?
Yes. Please. So for the facilities, we just have a few here, and they're all building maintenance problems. So line 41, and that's town hall, general operations, and all the general operations are basically another word for the repairs in the buildings, and anything that we have to add on for compliance, whether it's a deep thing, whether it's a OSHA problem, or whatever it is. In the town hall, we all know that a building built in 1928, and it has its idiosyncrasies. So a lot of repairs are there, a lot to the HVAC. We don't have a true AC system in there. We have mini splits on the main floor and other parts of the building. And we've had to replace some of those at about $4,000 to $5,000 a piece on a replacement. Same thing with those. The repair seems to be futile. You know, we've tried to repair, we've tried to replace line sets, and it ends up that we end up replacing them. We just did one in IT end of last year. Also, there's maintenance contracts that we have for the heating part of it and HVAC. Another thing that hasn't really been focused on, and which is something we have to start doing, is the elevator in there. So we've had some elevator repairs, we've had the doors get stuck on there, we've had people get stuck in it. And then just general maintenance on the elevator, and then inspections that have to be done on that. And that kind of goes into number 42, the highway garage. That's really both garages down at the old facility, and the newer building has the 8 bays, and the old facility has the 3 bays. We've got garage door replacements. We have a wash station within the building. It causes the doors, the panels to rot out. We try to replace the panels as long as we can, then we replace the doors. They're going about, what, 7,500 of these now? So we have that. And we also have our trailer rental for our office, where the town engineer is housed right now, and his assistant engineer. That's running at about $1,324 per month. It's unlimited. We have 1 more year left on the contract, and then we're going to have to do something different. So these are some of the expenses that have been going on, and we just can't seem to keep up with the repairs, so we defer them as long as we can. And we had an OSHA inspection 2 years ago, just spot inspection. They do it every 3 years. It's supposed to every 3 years come to 169 municipalities in the state. So we got our lucky button about 3 years ago. Didn't have many violations, and they allowed us to correct everything, as long as we did it either on site while they were there, or give them a remedy that we were going to do and then perform it before the final report. So the fines were minimal, but I think they get much larger if we keep letting things go and keep deferring this maintenance. It's the same way as the vehicles and the trucks, it just gets more and more expensive. And the last 2 are 51 for the Mystic River Boathouse. We really don't have any historical data, so we are anticipating we're going to be taking care of the exterior landscaping and the maintenance there. So that would be fertilization, that would be all the stuff that we do to replace salads. So it's something we just want to keep an eye on. And the last one, I think probably everyone here knows, is the old administration building at 49 North Stonington Road. There's been a lot of ideas back and forth over the last few years as far as what we're going to do with the property. But for now, it's being utilized. Human Services running several programs out of there. They're running something for the elderly, for a yoga and exercise class, and some other things there. So it's getting more use. The more use it gets, the more the heat gets used. Excuse me. It has a septic system with a 4,000-gallon tank. That gets filled up, and we have to pump it a little more frequently. And we've had quite a few mechanical failures over the last couple of years. With the old heating system, it's the original boiler in there, so we have another ticking time bomb on that one. So we're keeping it all going, but we have to have enough money in there just to do the maintenance and the repairs that are necessary. That's about all I have. The ones that are glaring are the bullet points, though. So I don't know if anyone else has anything there.
I would like to add something about one line item, and that's street lighting and electricity and maintenance. Line 57. The budget is $242. This current budget is $242,000. We've been averaging about $220 a year in electricity use for that. But because our contract is expiring this June, and obviously our new contract will be higher, I bumped that up by $8,000 to $250,000. So in case you're wondering why the budget's going up when we're under budget, that's why.
Tom, do you have, I'm assuming you do, but you never know. Do you have regular maintenance schedules for all your equipment, all your systems in the buildings?
Yes, yes, we have an HVAC contract at Town Hall. We have a contract with Emcor right now to do all our heating and HVAC systems.
Do ours in Mystic also.
Yeah, we were trying, this company ESC for some of our controls and heating services. Chris completed a program and an upgrade while I was retired, for a brief period. And yeah, changed some of the controls over there because we're having a lot of heating issues over, Danielle knows, over the last number of years. So we're trying to keep a regular maintenance program, A, and then B, how can we upgrade it without replacing the whole system? I don't know if you remember, it was $2 million just to do the heating in the Town Hall. And at the same time, for about $1 million more, we could have done, put a chiller on it, just run cold water through, or glycol. And we didn't get approval for that, so that's why we keep the splits in there. And then Human Services has been an ongoing saga for a number of years. And anything short of a new system with new hardware components, now new air handlers, replace some of the ductwork, replace some of these other things. We basically did a controls upgrade, which seems to be working better. There's a few bugs, but that's in the software. I think we have most of the controls that we were using much, much better.
Correct.
Yeah, so.
And all vehicles, right? Vehicles?
For the maintenance, sure, we do all PMs, preventive maintenance, and yeah, that's all scheduled. And we do most of everything in-house now. We got a couple of good young mechanics who are working there. We just had our master mechanic retire on the 2nd. So we're going to hire a new master mechanic, and hopefully we'll get somebody qualified for that. And then we'll back, if it's one of the employees we have now, if that moves up, great, we'll fill that position too. If not, we'll go to the outside. But it's just really hard. Every place I talk to, Groton, Bob Charette is the fleet manager there, and he's come over and done a lot of job interviews with us, set up panels, and he's the same way. You just can't get someone who's good. They go to the outside, they don't come to the municipality. But we have 2 great ones right now, so they're out there, and they're in their 30s, so I think they have a good future there. But without the maintenance contract, let me just say one last thing on it. If you don't have that, then you're flying kind of without a net. Because if it's the blizzard the other night and something, all the heat goes out and the generators don't kick on, same thing we have generator maintenance contracts, you're just done. And it's not like your house where you tough it out, you have to have it available for the public. So it's something I think it's a cost. And we try to shop it out, but they seem to be all equally priced, plus or minus. It's just what you get for the service. Emcor is good in a way that they have, it's huge, it's an international company, it's huge. They're located in London locally here, and they can have somebody, 30 minutes or less, we have a technician there. They can usually get us out of the woods for the night or the day. Long answer, sorry.
No, I agree, actually.
I got a question on 46, the Pawcatuck Dike. Is that the same, that, well, I guess it's a gate
Hurricane Barry.
Yeah,
on Mechanic Street?
yes.
No, we funded that like 50,000 a couple of years ago, I believe.
That was.
It was in CIP, though.
For the
Oh,
King-
okay.
But that's
Yeah,
a good question, because we can, if you want to wait until we get to CIP, if you guys want to talk about it now, it's okay. I just was.
Has it been repaired?
It hasn't been repaired yet, but we have everyone lined up to do the job, and we have enough money. We're pretty certain we have enough money in the previous year's CIP
Is that
that
what,
we can get it done.
that was, you were telling us, that was a critical situation.
It is with the hinge, right? So we have a contractor lined up, we have the foundry lined up, we have the engineering part lined up. So we think we're going to be able to get it done with the funding that we have. That's why we didn't ask for any more money this year.
Maybe for the benefit that we have 4 new members of this board, I think. Is that right? Well,
you have to.
okay, but 3 brand new members to this board. So can you just do a quick explanation of what you guys are talking about so that they're up to speed?
So we have a hurricane protection system built in 1962, complete with berm gates. We have 2 diesel engines that pump water that our staff maintains. And as part of that, if you can imagine that there's 2 gates, if we have kind of a 100-year storm or 200-year storm, or just something that brings our sea level rise up to its base flood elevation, we need to close those gates. So if you can imagine the weight of a car, you know, that gate, steel gates, they're hollow. It's not something you can buy off the shelf. It's a specialized hinge built by Army Corps, 1962. We do have the operations manual. So we started a hunt a few years ago as far as, you know, who will make this. Now, we have Army Corps engineers that comes in now. They're coming in not every year. They're coming in every 3 years and whatnot. But I identified, I mean, we can identify it as, you know, there's rust, there's fatigue. We still operate it during the year. We exercise that hinge, but we know it's going to fail. So the short story, if I can make it a short story, is that we needed to find a company that could come out, 3D scan it, come up with a particular model, marry the specs with the model. We needed to find a foundry that could produce the core from 1962 or equal. We need a company that can remove it and transport it. We have Fabnet that's analyzed it with us and said he could do the steel work. So we put together a plan, and that plan right now is with Army Corps, and they're going to weigh in as to what do we do operationally if we have a storm. So we're going to need a plan in place as far as beluga bags and things like that, so that when we remove the door and we do the work. So we're waiting to hear their comments. It's been with them at least a couple of months, and we're hoping that, you know, we get their seal of approval, and then we can come back. Chances are we're going to need to come see you folks. I believe one of the prices that we have, we're going to need a bid waiver.
Yeah,
So you'll probably see us again.
You're gonna need more money, this was a couple of years ago.
Right now, we have, all the vendors that we have are coming in below the amount that we had requested from them.
Oh, good.
But we want to see what other associated tasks that Army Corps might saddle us with, and we're hoping to get the approval.
And the other gate is fine?
Well, like anything else, it's 1962. They're going to need work, so right now we're going to replace, when you go in, like springs and hinges, you do 2 at a time. So we'll do one gate, both hinges, and then we'll work from there. And then we'll have the pattern so that we can go back in the future if this is successful. So we're waiting for Army Corps' blessing. So we're very close. We've talked about this for a long time. And you'll see us again, because I believe we're going to need one bid waiver for one of the operations. It's very specialized. Each, the manufacturer and scanning and design, is very specific. It's been a bit of a challenge.
So then the original point of failure was one hinge, didn't have a weep hole or something like that? Was that the?
You know, various items. The steel does have weep holes such that it could weep, but you know, water still finds its way. It laps underneath the concrete and drips on that steel. We're in a salt environment next to the ocean. It's next to the roadway. So, you know, 1962 to now has been quite a few years. And yes, to say the least, we're looking at if we can add some more strategic holes without weakening the structure.
Just a little obscure history of the town of Stonington.
It's been a good challenge, though.
The irony of it is, we thought we could just go to Army Corps, ACOE, and say, look, we have this gate of this vintage, we want to replace the hinge, or we want to do anything to it. Do you have, do you have the drawings? Do you have any vendors, approved vendors that we could use any place in the United States? And it's just not there. We just talked to Army Corps quite a few times, so we kind of had to do a little bit of detective work to figure it out. But I think we have it figured out.
All right, thanks. Anybody have any questions on anything in facilities?
Line 49, it looks like we're going up 20% on playgrounds and parks. Can you speak to that?
Correct me if I'm wrong on this one, because I'm not 100% sure. I thought this was for the playground materials as well, right? There's an increase in price in that?
For the mulch, it's supposed to be done annually. The price is going up and up. They added on to the playground, so now it costs more to do the mulch than it normally did. And some of this is for maintenance of the equipment also as well. Repairs to the playground.
Thank
Anyone else? Okay, I guess, what, engineering next, is that where we want to go?
Yes. Good evening, Chris Greenlaw again, engineering. No dramatic increases with the budget for engineering. I would love to request a second engineer position full-time, but our biggest challenge has been trying to find someone full-time. We've been very fortunate. We had an intern that graduated to an assistant position part-time, and he since received his master's and got a full-time job out in the world, and we appreciated all his help. The return on investment with the intern that became an assistant was just amazing for the town and for the department. As of most recent, we've had a colleague on the other side of the state that's graciously come to help us out. Licensed professional engineer working for us 22 hours a week with his PE, and the horsepower we've gotten from him has been tremendous. Unfortunately, he's unable to give us a full-time capacity. So as much as I would love to ask for it, we have the work for 2 engineers, as you see with the CIP. Right now, we're working with leadership to discuss, getting a full-time position and filling that assistant. So that's been our greatest challenge. Everything that you see in front of you as far as the request line items are virtually static, so I would just ask of you, do you have any questions of the engineering budget, the O&M?
Well, you say that your workload is increasing, is that what you said?
Absolutely.
And that's the reason for this request?
Yes, and I will sell the position as far as, if you look outside the biosphere of Stonington, if you look at a traditional engineering division with the amount of work that we have, 20,000 people, I came from a town that had that, and typically you'll see 2 assistants with your town engineer, because all of us are, Jim in finance and myself and Tom's position, we're all working managers. So when we're in that meeting, we're not hunkered down reviewing the designs that are coming in or offering support to the public or working on our projects with our consultants, which is pretty much how we're stacked as far as you'll see that we have a lot of consulting engineering teams, but we still have to be that working manager to do everything from preparing proposals and estimates, managing your budget, following up with invoicing on top of the engineering that you do. So it's very customary, but since you asked, I figured I would try to sell the position, but we're having a very hard time. Engineers are in demand. As you know, there's a lot of infrastructure money out there. We're competing with DOTs and Electric Boat and other engineering staff. So right now our biggest challenge is trying to get someone in a full-time capacity and then backfilling with that part-time.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else on the board? Okay, thanks. I guess we can move on to CIP.
We'll start right at 37.
Line 37, drainage improvements townwide. The department ask is annually a $100,000 request, and that's for the replacement and reconstruction of your existing drainage system within the town right away. So that's everything that you see as far as your catch basins, your roadway pipe, your outlets, your roadway swales. Not only is it for reconstruction, repair, or new, this funding also reduces icing, flooding, property damage, and erosion along our right-of-way. Tom touched upon the metrics earlier. I mean, we have 44 miles of pipe, in the ground, roughly 2,150 catch basins, culverts 204, and water quality ponds. I mean, the metric on the pipe is amazing in itself, because that's millions of dollars in pipe that you have that you need to maintain. Some of the things that we do as far as that maintenance, you have the unexpected items that you have just from deterioration. And we'll call vendors, you know, pipes get plugged. That money can be used for a vendor that can jet rot a pipe. Maybe there's roots in a pipe. We'll video the pipe. We'll look at the condition of pipe before we pave roads, because we don't want to throw good money after bad. So we'll look at the drainage, and to do that, that costs money to video it. We'll catalog it, identify it, see if it needs to be replaced. We can pull from this funding. We have, that supports our paving program as well. We have urgent flooding response. Some of the designs we can do in-house. We have 2 projects currently under design. One's Wisatuxet. If you traveled it after a storm, you'll see that there's an area of ponding. That's one that we designed in-house. I believe we go to wetlands next month, and we're hoping that our own staff hopefully can install the pipe to the brook. And we've had a long-standing issue of flooding on that road. Another one that we're capable of taking care of, I mentioned icing on roads. It is El Harvey Road. Especially this time of year, you might have snow or you might have water, groundwater coming up through the pavement. We're going to put an edge, we've designed to put an edge drain system in there. We're going to connect it into our formal culverts, and that's something we'll do in-house, but we'll pull from this account. So I just wanted to give you a couple of items. Some of the heavier lifts or something that needs to be more surgically done or much more intensive. We did Allen Street. We had a design professional, a team consultant come in, and we had a contractor perform that work. But I just wanted to give you some examples of what this funding request is for townwide drainage.
Chris, on this line, you seem to, it looks like you put $1 in last year. There's some accumulated, there's about $85,000 sitting in that line right now from previous years.
Currently $85,280.
Yeah.
And I think that's so that we could get a design professional, do some work in-house, catch up. I've been very busy with bridges, and I think given the workload of public works, we weren't anticipating, knowing we had that money, I think we backed off on it. But now we're starting to see a backlog of projects that are in the queue. Some of the other things we're looking at is Mason Island Road, Riverside Drive, Quantiduck Cove, you'll see as a CIP. It's big enough that you'll see that later in the CIP. So when we start seeing some of these stack up, that's where we said, let's reinitiate and request to have the money, because we're hoping that we can start chipping away at the backlog.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have questions on this one? Go ahead. Chris?
Next one's line 38, which is our annual request for highway equipment and replacement program. This year, we're asking for $541,714. If I can, I've prepared some handouts.
I'm going to hand them up.
So in the 2 documents in there, previous members will recognize it. It's the spreadsheet that shows all our equipment and a replacement period and program for that for the next 5 years. Just to give everyone an idea of where we are and what we're trying to do, this makes it a little bit easier. We used to take it out longer, we would go 10 years, but it seemed to not work. By the time we ever got to the year 3, the numbers were just way off, depending on what the economy was doing at the time. A lot of factors in place. So we try to stay to 5 years, gives us a more realistic look at it for everyone financially and for our needs as well. If the needs change the department, in 2 years we're able to change what we need for equipment. We're asking for these items this year, and Nate can speak to this about what we're asking and the purposes of them. But we're starting with a large dump truck, that's $280,000. A small dump truck, which would be the class of at $550. A Jacobson Contour mower, which would be primarily an athletics field machine. We have one now, a Toro brand, that's used up daily at the athletic fields. And with more fields coming up, we'd like to have another one. That one's got quite a few hours on it now, so we're hoping this will support that machine as it works. Broadcast top dresser to use on the athletic fields and a riding zero-turn mower. We typically didn't put these riding mowers in there because the riding mowers were under $10,000. But with the price of them going up now, they're touching 15 and even more than that. So we figure we're going to start keeping this in our CIP and cycling the mowers throughout it. So the equipment is prioritized on that little table that we just sent you as well. So it shows what we need first, what we would take last. Hopefully we can get it all. The larger dump trucks, this last storm, it just shows why we still need them. Several years ago, some people were suggesting we go to smaller trucks, all at 550s. Makes sense economically, but practicality-wise, it makes no sense. If we had only those trucks 2 weeks ago, Nate would still be running around out there. It's just they cannot push that volume of snow. It's a mass problem. The bigger the mass gets out front, once it overcomes the mass of the truck doesn't go anymore.
Are these replacing current,
Yes.
so what you have now?
So the large dump truck would be replacing one, yes. And this kind of goes to maybe a conversation for another day, but with landfill, same situation. The dealer now has 5 leftover cabin chassis, which they can sell us at a greatly reduced price. But I believe they'd have to have something fairly soon. Some kind of commitment. The F550 is to replace a current mason dump that has a cracked frame that we are not able to use. The top dresser, while they have one now, it's very small, and we've had to, in the past, contract out some of the top dressing. We try to do it all in-house because it's expensive to do, and this is a broadcast one, so you can put a bigger volume in and broadcast it out over, I'd say, a 15 to 20 foot swath versus a 4 foot swath. And the contour mower would be an addition to the Toro that we have. And the reason for that one is the Toro is aging, it's breaking down. When it breaks down, it's a disaster trying to cut all this grass with zero turns. Because you're going down to a 60-inch deck versus I think that's a 120-inch deck at least, if not bigger. And also with the addition of the VFW field. And keep in mind, this isn't a cut every week and a half. They cut these fields probably 2 to 3 times a week in the summer.
Now, the behind the dump, I think you got one of these mowers last year, if I remember correctly. Did you find one of those? The zero-turn mower for that?
So the zero turn, so we have a fleet of those, and that is to cut all the town areas, like town hall, all town buildings.
This one was specifically for the mound, you know.
I think that was for solid waste. They used
Yeah,
it
it was
just
a
to replace
replacement
that.
for theirs, yes. Yes, they had an old
So
beat
this
up
is
one.
different.
Right.
I noticed that like the following years, next year you're gonna be, if you projected quite a substantial increase from this year. Well, what makes you think you're gonna have need an increase like that?
Well, part of the increase, so for this year, honestly, when this was put together, it wasn't such an accurate number to us. It should have been higher for this year, to be frank with you and honest with you. But that's is what the previous director had done, so this is what we're gonna go with for this year. And also, it's just the added cost of stuff. I mean, every year, the stuff gets more and more expensive. And to try to keep up with what we have to replace, that's unfortunately what we're looking at.
Yeah,
So these are things that you really needed for this year.
So the list
we can
here
bring it
where
on.
we would like, I mean, it's so important we get this equipment. We're willing to work with you on other accounts if we have to. Honestly, this is the backbone of our operation is the equipment. If we don't have the equipment, we can't maintain this stuff. So anything we can do to achieve this would be
Okay, that's
huge
good to
for
know.
us.
On the broadcast dresser, you said you contract a lot of that out now?
They have, we've tried because we have a small one.
Right.
So I would say last year, I believe we were able to do it all in-house. It's just not as much as what we would like to do. And the top dressing makes it a much safer playing surface, a level playing surface. And it's just the amount of man hours that has to go into it now for us to achieve that versus if we were able to get that unit, it cuts it probably it'd be a quarter at a time.
And we would eliminate the need to contract out.
Correct. Yes.
I just have a general comment. I was chair of the old Fields Committee years ago, and one of the things the committee basically determined and almost demanded is that the town guys handle the fields, and it was like overnight. And I really wanted to, I don't get on the fields much anymore, my kids are gone, I don't go down there very often, but I'm sure you're keeping them as well as you did 5 years ago. And I really want to thank you, because your guys do a fantastic job. We put it in your hands. You guys went out and got your training. I know there's certain people that have agronomy training and special training on how to use these different chemicals and non-chemicals. And I don't know how many people say thank you, but thank you very much for the great work you guys do.
Yeah, the guys do a great job. I remember when we took that on, it was myself and another employee, and we were just kind of given some mowers and a truck and said, go make it work. And we kind of learned as we went, and luckily with the support of Tom at the time, got the right equipment. And
Nate's being humble. He was the pioneer down there, so he's being very humble.
You know, and Barbara Krell gave you a lot of credit. I had a good relationship with her, and all she did was tell me how well you, specifically Nate, she says, all I got is 2 guys. Guys are stepping up. They're learning the craft, and it's a craft. It's just anybody can't just get on a mower and just cut it and it just magically happen. And I know that, but I've never had the opportunity to really thank you in person because I guess I'm too lazy. I should have done this years ago. But now I'm in a position where I can. I really can't say it enough. I just appreciate it so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll pass it along to the covered guys. So that's,
Is there
that
any
takes care.
trade-in value, sorry,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
is there any trade-in value to the old equipment that you,
So like the large dump truck, unfortunately, because of the model that it is, they don't, I don't want to say they don't support it anymore, but like the motor it's not a big name brand, it's proprietary to international. So unfortunately, a lot of people don't want it. There is trade-in value, is it a lot? I'd say for that large truck, you'd be lucky if you got between $5,000 and $10,000 trade-in. The Mason dump is going to be scrapped because the frame is cracked on it. So those would be the two that we would get rid of. And obviously the zero-turn mower that we would change out, you'll have a hard time getting somebody to even give it away.
thank you.
It's a real problem too, because you look at the cost of the truck hitting $300,000, right? And then you go to trade one in 12 years later. Sometimes it's $5,000, $3,500, $7,000 somewhere in there, and it's just, you just can't believe it. But I mean, the other option is try to auction them off. We've had moderate success at that over the years, so it's inherent to it. And what we use them for, we run them through the salt all the time. We're using them, on a daily basis, so they take a little bit of a beating, and the snow plowing really takes a beating on them, and so they know that when they come there, this is their business, and they tell you, here's what we think. So usually when we come with this, I know the sheet's a little bit overwhelming the first time you look at it. That's why we gotta come 5, not 10 and 15 years out. We say we're happy to have the trade-in money and turn it back if it comes in, and hopefully maybe it could be $25,000. But we say just to never count on it.
The only way to get a good return on the large trucks is you're going to have to switch them out every, I'd say 5 to 6 years, and we just don't see it financially that's doable.
Is there much turnaround time when you order them?
So there's a huge amount, and that goes back to the class 7 or 8 for the 280, the large one. If we're able to get something, I think before Jim, did we do something with a purchase order for the last one we did? Post-dated or dated it?
No, we didn't do any post-dating, everything was by the book.
By the book. I'll put it this way, if we can commit to one of those in some way, they're willing to build it very fast. Otherwise, you're probably 1 to 2 years from seeing it, unfortunately.
Any idea what they need for a commitment?
We could work with them and Jim to figure that out.
If the Board of Finance can guarantee that this truck won't get axed, and it'll be in the SIP come hook or by crook, we could issue a PO, say, effective July 1, we will honor this PO and, go ahead and order it. They probably would, they have no problem selling these trucks, they take so long to get, front time that they can sell them to anybody if we had.
We really just lucked out on one we're actually gonna take delivery of Friday or Monday. Was not supposed to be built. So the cab and chassis is coming fairly quick. It's getting the body and everything, the hydraulics put on. That one, I think it was a long shot to even see it for this coming winter. Luckily, they had come down to look at a warranty issue on something else, and they noticed the cab and chassis sitting in our yard. They said, what's going on with that? We said, oh, we're waiting, the stuff won't be in for 8 months. And he said, well, if you use the body and the hydraulic systems I have in stock, I can turn it around in 30 days. And that's what we were able to do, and it was huge. And they're the same ones that are asking if we're able to commit to this, that they could do the same thing and have a very fast turnaround time and getting that going.
Because we're also competing against other municipalities to get the trucks. So if these 5 are sitting on the lot, July 1, everyone's running in with a commitment letter, or so we can get it prior to that, get the PO signed, and then we get in the front of the line. And that's a great deal on this truck. In particular.
Well,
What do you want to?
I could say that we had some time. I mean, we're gonna have this wrapped up after next week, so we're gonna know what we're gonna cut, what we're not gonna cut. So we would know like next week, right? If this stays in or doesn't stay in.
If you want, we can reach out to them tomorrow and say, do you have any of these left for one? And what do you need from us and how fast to reserve them?
Might as well explore that. I think.
Yeah.
Again,
Next
we're
week.
probably bumping up against the same thing that we would be bumping up against with the roll-on, roll-off truck that
Yeah.
6 months from now, who knows what the price is going to be.
That's the other thing, is, that's the number they give us today, who knows what it could be in 6 months.
So what are the other numbers of the, just give me a sense of what, yeah, it would be good to know, so
Yeah,
go find out, come back and
make a
see
deal.
us.
Thank you. Any other questions on the equipment?
So I'm noting that we have $14,000 in the account currently. Do you expect to spend that before?
I'm sorry, what was that?
There's $14,000 in the equipment purchase line right now? In that account?
For CIP?
For CIP?
From previous years that you had.
I don't think that's spoken for.
It isn't spoken for. We were thinking it could be possibly another small mower, a replacement mower,
But currently not the.
but not spoken for now.
Actually, I'm going to take that back. I want to say there's maybe $2,000 that has to go for this truck that's getting delivered that we were hoping to take out of there.
$2,000, okay.
Okay, good question. Where are we on next?
There you go.
Line 39, this is right-of-way ADA transition plan. Over the last 8 to 10 years, the town's been doing a transition plan. Title II of ADA states that we're required by law and obligated to correct any ramps that are affected by road projects, paving, rehabilitation, and resurfacing, and reconstruction. This funding provides the roadways prior to roadway resurfacing. In simpler terms, any road that we touch that has the sidewalks on it, we have to do the ADA ramps. The only treatment that we can do to the roads is that chip sealing that I was talking about earlier. We put the bluestone down, that's the only thing we don't have to make it ADA compliant. And right now, DOT has 22 different ramps. Roughly 22 different variations or versions of ADA ramps, depending on if it's a corner ramp, it's a straight ramp. So they're quite complicated to do. So the $50,000 helps us every year to do it. We pick roads that we know, some that won't have to have it, some that do have to have it. If we're in Washington Street or Jackson Avenue or these ones at sidewalks and we decide to touch it, then immediately after we touch it, we have to have a plan to do this. So, and to help, it's more the town transitioning the town over to ADA compliance. So this is one we've asked for the last about 8 to 10 years.
So I have a question on that, because we funded over the past 3 years, but it doesn't look like we've touched it yet.
Yeah, we're having a plan going on.
We have the 110, right? We have now 110.
Yeah.
But right now, Beta is also going to provide us with this ADA ramps, sidewalks, and locations where they need to be done to work in correlation with the paving. So one layer goes with the other layer, so we anticipate using that 110,000
In this coming year.
this coming year when we do our paving. Any other questions on that? Next is line 40, which is guide rails. This is also an ask we do every year. This year we don't have another 10,000 for our usual $25,000 request. It's an annual request to replace all the wooden post guardrails that are in exist now or guide rails. It's to fund new guide rail locations. Sometimes the PD gets complaints. It goes in front of the Board of Commissioners. They say we'd like to have a guide rail. If anyone's driven down North Main Street lately with the big ditches on the right-hand side, it's been there for a long time. We finally come up with a remedy for that, so that's a new one that we would add in there. Same pricing on the state bid right now, metal beam rail, the ones that we sealed are steel, or the patina, the rusted color ones are $35 per linear foot. The Merritt Parkway style, the wooden ones like you see on Summers Lane is an example of that. We try to use those on the rural roads, they're $135 a foot. Plus the attenuators on the end, those are all extras, a couple thousand. So the money goes pretty quickly, so we try to lump it together, and if it's a road we're paving, obviously we try to hit that, but usually where the safety concerns are more than anything. And the one on North Main Street, as I think everyone knows, is pretty bad.
I drive by it every day, at least once.
Yeah, we've got a couple of wrecks there over the years. Okay, next one is 41, that's road pavement maintenance. This is for normal maintenance of the roads. The DPW manages roadway assets. This account is one of the two that provides funding for maintenance of our roadways, such as the chip sealing or crack sealing or any of these other things, micro paving systems. The current ask is $250,000 to support this maintenance activity. We also use some of this money for what we call our full depth pavement replacement, where we go out and excavate an area of 300 square feet that's a bad section of road that we're not going to quite get to through the paving plan going forward, and we take it out. And also Nate's crew goes out themselves and they do some localized where we can. But we have a full depth pavement contract that's out, and they take care of this with a contractor. We don't have a paving machine, so they would only do smaller stuff in-house.
So I have a question again, maybe I'm confused about this, but that last column, the money that we see in that last column, is that money that you have available right now that you just haven't used?
I believe it is.
So that's money that can help offset some of what you're asking for, right?
It possibly could. I know last year we got really into doing a lot of the full depth reconstruction. It goes fast. We have a whole list that we want to pick back up again to this spring. So that's why the additional request was requested. Because there's a lot of the roads where we can do say a 300 foot by the road width spot, and that road's good. It's spotty treatment, and you preserve the life of the road that way. So there's a lot more that we could do, but
Yeah, but it leads me to believe that sometimes you're over asking for money that you don't use, and
David,
then
I think we need to talk about it. I think it's because they're gonna use it this spring, this fiscal. So it's not that it's not being used, they do
No,
the treatment season. So I think they
Yeah.
will deplete that.
I know, but it's just like, they asked for more than they needed in the past, and I understand that sometimes you don't know what your costs are going to be, and you have that in reserve, and that's good, that's okay, but you hate to see like $412,000 just sitting somewhere. Where is that sitting? Where is that?
so I mean it's in the account, but our plan is to use that up by July 1.
Okay, what account? I mean, does that account earn any money, or how does that?
That's what
I'm gonna have to ask Jim on that one.
I mean, it's a lot of money, just in this one department.
Yeah, we have it in an investment account. It's all pooled. All the SIP money all the money gets transferred into the SIP fund to fund projects. It actually doesn't get transferred there. We leave it in the general fund and commingle with the general fund. We have one big investment pool, and we pay, general fund pays the bills, and we do to, do from, back and forth between the SIP fund as they need funds to pay their bills.
What you sent me the other day, is that gigantic list of money that's in these accounts that?
No, that was actually
on the
trial,
books?
that was the trial balances for each of the funds we have. Within each of those funds, there are different accounts. Most of the money, though, is in the general fund. So say we have $40 million sitting on the general fund. $5 million of that is earmarked to fund the SIP fund. $5 million might be earmarked to fund for our grant funds that we receive that are to fund 248, which is our grants fund. We combine it all in the general fund because we get a better return on investment there. We got a big pool of money there. So right now, that money, that $400,000 is earning about 2.7% interest on it.
Yeah, it's just, it's not only this department, it's like every department that has these large amounts of money just sitting in these accounts. And it just seems like, think about the taxpayers, if we're funding this at this level, and we keep adding on to it like every year, I mean, that doesn't seem like the most
Well, I suspect with the new regime at the Public Works Department, the money is going to get expended faster.
Yeah, David, I feel like every year, if they don't spend it, they do come back and we either reallocate it, that fiscal or comes back and it goes through. But I think for this one in particular and some of the other ones, like, they either do save it because they have to do it one season. So I think with like paving, it's going to be spent this fiscal year. So like that money is going to be spent in the time it was supposed to be spent. Maybe drainage, they had to wait on, like Chris said, because there was a lot of projects that had to get bumped, like bridges, I'm sure we'll hear about soon. But there is a backlog, so I think they were trying to accumulate some money to save up and then do them. But
You'll see in the next line too, it's the same thing. And we can, I don't want to bite off more than I can chew, but I'm going to say we can easily use that by July 1. There's tons of paving that needs to be done.
They can spend $400,000 in 2 weeks on paving.
Washington Street could use a little.
Yes.
but you didn't want that.
I don't want it, but they've already budgeted the money.
In years where you get the beta, I'm not gonna, do you do more paving based on that?
So we use
You're gonna
that,
receive
we
that.
use that as a guide, I would say, to say, okay, this is what they found, this is what we actually see in the field.
Right.
And we put that knowledge together and make a decision.
Do you accelerate the paving schedule? Like, do you do more paving in that year or the year after, or do you keep it on a rolling?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's so much exactly the same each year. Like sometimes there's a big road that we have to pave and you're only going to get one road versus off the beta plan that you could maybe pick 10 roads to do with that amount of money. So it does differ from year to year, but we definitely try and are going to do better, I would say.
We're going to do better. Yes, and as Jim said, we can spend it quickly. If we get on roads that have a lot of driveway aprons, a lot of external asphalt, things that we have to do at the same time, it eats up the money really quickly. So we've left that in there with the intent to spend it. And I know what you're going to spend, probably say that with the next line of this combined, it's over $1 million, they could go someplace else. And I agree, it's true, but we do honestly feel that we will spend the money.
Well, look, the other thing you have to remember is, if you don't keep up with this, then all of a sudden, you get behind, right? So, those are big numbers, but they're not necessarily the big numbers you want to touch, because there's a point at which if you're not spending enough every year, you get in a jam, and then somewhere down the road, you got a whole lot of roads.
The roads all go at once.
Yeah. In years past, we've usually done, picked like say the fall to do the paving. Our plan this year is to do a chunk in the spring and another chunk later on in the season, after the money is replenished after July.
My point is, it's not that I don't want you to spend the money, my point is, if that amount of money is in that line item, why wouldn't you cut back on what you're asking for if you know you're gonna be using that money that's left in there?
I think the answer is because then we won't have enough
David,
come
they're-
July 1.
Yeah, they're using it this fiscal year, so it is still sitting there, but it's only February, so they still have March, April, May, June to spend it. And so like, they have projects planned for the spring. So I think in this case, they're gonna expend the entire amount they asked for.
What's in that
That,
overage
yeah,
account
they will
and what
spend,
they're asking for?
well, because what they're asking for is next
Was there
fiscal.
money in that, I've never seen that column before, that's new to me.
It's, yeah, I think it's helpful.
Yeah, and
usually.
I'm just wondering, was there overage, has there been overage every year in that?
For paving?
Not only
For
that
any-
line, but every line, is there overage?
Well, David, there's several different things going on in CIP. There are things like the roads where every year we're paving roads. So, and we fund it, you know, we have some funding pattern that we try to stick to. There's some other things like turf field where we know 10, 15 years down the road, we're gonna have a big bill. So the Fields Committee was persuaded the Board of Finance 15 years ago that we should be setting money aside for turf on a regular basis. So a project like that, you're building up a balance because you know you're gonna get hit with a big bill. The paving here is, we know we want to try and do a certain amount of paving every year, and as Danielle pointed out, we're only, you know, we got 4 or 5 months left of this year where if they start paving in the spring, that what looks like a big number there is going to become a very small number.
But David,
I guess I'm
And then what they're asking for tonight is for next year, right?
No, it's for this year.
No,
no,
this
it's
is
for
for-
next fiscal.
they aren't asking for money that they're going to spend this fiscal year. That they're asking for, the money they're asking for is for next fiscal year. The money in the right-hand column is money from
Well, yeah,
primarily
I
this
mean,
fiscal year.
This is the budget that we're dealing with, the one for next year.
Right.
You know, but I'm just, it seems to me, and I won't belabor this anymore, that we're actually spending more money than what actually appears because of this column that says we have all this extra money in these various departments. And so it's really, we're spending more money really than,
No, yeah, but I think you're right, like, it is a new column, so I think it might be like, and I think it is
yeah, it's
helpful,
a
but
good,
you're
it's a
calling
good
it a
column to have.
But it's just what you approved in last year's budget, and then
Yeah.
you're just showing you what's left over. So it's not more money, it's whatever you approved for what fiscal year we're in now, just showing you what's left over. But I almost think that you're hitting on a point that I think does come up every year, and Chris isn't here for it, because I know he loves this question. Oh, here he comes, with his tie back like Superman. The question I think that David maybe, and I want to speak for you, David, but are you getting to is like, are there any line items that where you do feel like we're asking for money that you're not sure if you could expend the next fiscal year because of manpower or staffing? So like, do you feel like you already pared it down because you're always prepared for those questions, or are there any line items where you feel like, yeah, we have some money left over from last year we weren't able to spend, and there could be some savings for next fiscal because you will have some left over?
Yeah.
Great. I mean, I think we looked at them all and we're confident what's the remaining balance in these accounts will be used by July 1.
Okay.
Let's do it.
The paving especially, because it's a high-ticket item when you go out with it.
I'm assuming that this has happened we've never seen this column before. This happens every year.
Yeah.
Correct.
There's money left, not only in your department, but in every department.
This is anecdotal, but I know that the plan was, this is just on my street, Washington Street was supposed to be paved last year, but they ended up changing out with the water company came in and redid all the water pipes, all the water mains in the street. So they pushed all that paving of however many thousand feet it is of Washington Street was pushed to this spring. So there's hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting there, I'm sure, just for that project alone. That wasn't expended last fall, and it will be expended this spring.
So to get back to the RSR rating, if that number comes in lower than we expect, would you want to put more money into this to try to catch up next year?
That's the only way to get a higher score.
Probably for next year, yeah. So the next line, which I'm going to get you now, 42, that talks about the major, the capital, the 10-year road lasts about 20 years for paving, 15 to 20, and that's what we say the 10-year capital is gonna
So
be.
you're not gonna have that report in time for this budget, that would be next.
I think it'll be for next budget. We'll probably have it, and then we'll reevaluate what we're gonna do. But Nate's got compiled quite a good list of roads that are in need, to put it mildly, so I think there'll be no problem. And in some, the reclamation, it gets very expensive. There's a couple of neighborhoods that have been postponed over the last few years that are ready to go. All the drainage has been done, all the auxiliary stuff that we have in there is ready to go. Just have to have the company come in, they grind it all up. And once again, it gets expensive because you take some material out, once you grind up what's there, and you do the pavement, you gotta lower it so that the driveways don't back up with water. So these are how it gets very costly, very fast. And it's not just in the paving, this has happened over the years with our capital stuff for our equipment. We've had a little bit of, whatever you want to call it, that reserve sitting back, and then been able to buy a truck like this coming forward.
You've got the manpower to be able to do this?
Well, we'll contract all the paving out,
Okay.
the major paving. We wouldn't do any of that. We might help them do some smaller stuff around, like some of the driveways, or small things like that, ramps, things like that. But we will have a vendor come in and do that. And we're meeting with a vendor actually this coming week. So we'll see about doing it. The problem we run into is like with the trucks, everyone gets their money for paving, for July 1. They're all after the guys on the state contract. So we may be going away, like doing it like we used to do, where we have someone comes in and they match the price. They can come on our schedule instead of going with the state contract schedule. It's great, and they provided the service, but to be honest with everyone, we've been very dissatisfied with the service off the state contract paving. I mean, personally, I know Nate feels the same way.
Last year was the first year that we went straight off a state bid, and it was not good at all. It left us with a ton of work to do, versus in the past, we've come to you, I believe you've given us a bid waiver to use a contractor that we used in the past, and they work well with us. And you're able to get a lot more done for maybe just the same price, if not a little bit, a touch more.
And the scheduling, so like you say, we take advantage of that 9-month construction season. As soon as it gets warmer to 40 rising degrees in the spring and down to 40 in the fall. So we try to go all the way like to the end of October or November, but we're fighting along with everyone else. And for better or for worse, the larger companies that take these state contracts, they want to sell you the mix, they want to sell you the material. So they want jobs that are 1,000 ton a day or more. And so if we have a couple of jobs that are 250 ton, well, if they have to move, as Chris was talking about earlier, we have the mobilization fee of $1,500 or $2,500, whatever the contract provides. The contract's good in some ways, but you pay for every item on there, so it's everything on the menu a la carte from them.
The state bid one is that they're like, there's not much attention to detail. They like to line up on 95 and just go for tonnage. Versus our paving in town, there's driveways you gotta tie in, there's puddles you gotta make sure aren't gonna be there, and they just, like I said, they're here to do tonnage, that's how they make their money.
Okay, thank you.
So to that point, there's two advantages, we'll see folks against, because we'll need a bid waiver for that too if we go with a different vendor. But that would allow us to come in and do roads earlier this year. And if they're doing also driveways, what that means is that opens up the DPW team to do the drainage work. So that's how we're trying to choreograph all the divisions together to get this done. But we'll be coming to talk to you when we mention bid waiver. So there's a couple benefits. We get in earlier, before July 1, before all the towns start their paving. Some towns do a lot of paving in the spring, and then that would free up DPW forces to do some of the drainage that we have on our CIP list. So we're trying to formulate a plan.
Any other questions on paving? Going once, going, okay. Next one, I think I have some good news for the board here on line 44. This was a recommendation from the previous Public Works Director. We don't feel, this is for the automated brine batching system. We currently have the brine tank now, and we are buying the mix from a vendor that delivers to our area. We don't think the $20,000 A is enough money to do what we're trying to accomplish. B, if we mix it ourselves, we would only be making the sweet spot for this is 23.3% the rock salt, the salt solution into water, to aqueous. The solution that we buy now has magnesium chloride, which lowers the temperatures for the freezing. It has some of the sugars mixed in it too, which helps the blend. It's about $1.20 a gallon, if I'm right? $1.20 a gallon. So the 20,000 wouldn't touch really what we need to do for batching. We'd be relying on our own employees to mix it. We would be worrying if it's only getting to the 23%, 23.3, if it would freeze under 15 degrees in the tank. So we're not saying we want to do away with the brine idea altogether. We're just saying we would like to say we don't, which we don't never say this, we don't need the 20,000.
Not now.
This one. We don't need it now.
It's more feasible, I think, for the town to buy the product, already made, for the amount that we're gonna actually end up using it.
We have the brine machine, right?
We do, so we have the applicator and we have the tank to store it, so we're good to go.
He's talking about the solution itself, so we don't feel it's prudent to mix it ourselves. And then buy the equipment and everything else, and the 20,000 is not gonna touch it, to be honest with you. So we'd like to just remove it. So it doesn't need to be
You
fine.
don't have anything else in mind that you want to do to get the solution to?
It gets real finicky when you make this mag chloride and the brine with the salt brine. It's got to be really accurate, or it can go bad on you. So I would rather just get the stuff pre-mixed and it's ready to go. And like Nate says, we'll go out and we'll pre-treat. Honestly, even for our own anecdotal stuff, is that we are not like Interstate 95, or if you drive through Vermont, if you drive through Massachusetts, where you see them spraying the whole road. We don't really have that application here, pun intended. We have localized spots that we will do. We have some ridges that we do. We could run the main roads with it, North Main Street, Togwot, some of the main thoroughfares through town that we could pre-treat a place before. But the solid material that we use is great. And as long as we keep buying this pre-treated solid material that's treated with the molasses for the bounce and scatter that has the mag chloride in it, and there's several different versions and brand names of that we were able to get off the prime bid or state contract. I think we're good, and historically it's been good. Nate's had a horrible winter this year, and not many issues, and you really didn't bother with brine that much, did you?
And on a normal winter, the current winter material budget will support us buying the brine without having to ask for more.
Perfect.
47 on the bridges. Line 47, Bridge Replacement Structural Improvement Fund. This is one of two accounts that supports your bridge preservation program. This one, and I'll speak in the future very soon about the Bridge Engineering Design Fund. This fund, line number 47, the Bridge Replacement Structural Fund, this supports Stonington S17 Bridge is valued roughly picking up around 40 million in asset value. So this fund here, funding this account would facilitate the interim structural repairs for safety, load preservation, extend the service life of these town-owned bridges. This maintenance investment will prolong the need of very costly bridge replacement. So we can use this account for some of the smaller repairs. I wanted to use this for homes. It got bumped into a larger project, so now it's its own CIP project. We did this on Lantern Hill when I first started here about 5 years. We needed an immediate measure to fix some scour on a bridge. Otherwise, we found that we were going to have to close the bridge in 6 months. And so having an account like this, somebody hits a rail on a bridge, it's costly. This will assist with that. The other thing that this fund does is that it serves as a backstop so that if we have a project, because it's very fluid when you get into the design of bridge, a lot of things can happen, there's a lot of parts. But this fund can also serve as a backstop, so I can work with Jim to say, we went out to bid, between the time, we're looking a year into the future, we're having certain iterative designs along the way, the cost estimate is changing, and market value and unit prices are changing. So we may come to you folks over a couple of times, and the prices may change, and it might be 6 months before we go out to bid. Bid comes in, 60,000 over, 50,000, 30 because of a unit light item. We could also use this as a backstop. So it serves two purposes. So it keeps us with some of the smaller repairs in between the big CIP projects. And that's what the bridge replacement, structural improvement. It's an interim account for interim repairs. Any questions?
Yeah, so I'm gonna kind of go back to where David was before, because if I'm reading the budget history correctly here, in 2024-25, it was funded with $75,000. Last year, or for this current year, there was a placeholder of $1 in there, and it looks like there's $77,000 that has accumulated there.
Currently 77,000 right now.
What's the plan?
And the plan is, we want to originally fund this 25,000 annually, and I'm asking for 50, because we're on the onset. We have 6 bridges in design. So that's 6 different variables of unit pricing and market value and things that are going wrong. So I'm actually asking for more money, because we're looking at 4 bridges going out to construction if we keep the schedule for 2027, which isn't that far away.
So you will start drawing on it this coming fiscal year?
I believe with at least 4 bridges, possibly 5, going into construction, that we may need this. And that's why I'm asking for more.
Okay, but you expect to, whether you expect to start spending some of it in the coming fiscal year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And again, this is one of 2 accounts. The other account I'm going to speak to is the seed money for the design of a lot of these.
Okay.
And together, they're your backstop for your whole bridge program. So we're on the cusp, if we keep our schedule, of a lot of work, and I just want to protect us to have some funds in it.
Thank you. Anybody else have questions on it?
Will those additional funds also be used to have the bidders sharpen their pencils so as to make sure that we get best value out of the bids?
That would come up from the next fund that I'm going to speak to, that covers design and analyses, and inspection, spoiler alert, but that would fall more under that. This would be something that during the year we can get a letter from DOT and they can say Stillman Avenue Bridge experienced high flows of water. They'll put us on notice and they might say it's scour critical and hire a diver or something like that, or have your consultant, because none of us have our diving license, but and that's sort of the thing. And if there was something that we could do in the interim before we come in with a CIP. So it gives us the opportunity to fix things in between the CIP cycle, not waiting a year.
I'm a certified diver. Do you need an engineering degree to do this work?
Take you up on that.
That would be like an extra job.
You don't need another job, Jim. We're working, you're busy already.
Yeah, only one job.
Next one is 49. It's a Public Works Field Maintenance Facility. Nate, with his experience in the fields, and he's done the legwork on this building, I'm going to let him take it.
So back to the athletic fields there, we kind of talked about it, that when we took those over, we were pretty much given 0 turn mowers and said, figure it out, which we did. But over the course of time, we've accumulated tons of equipment, expensive equipment, with no place to put it. We've done 2 smaller sheds down there, and it's time, in my opinion, that we need a garage down there. We need somewhere to store the stuff. There's probably over $200,000 worth of stuff just out in the elements year-round. And this building would be able to put this to bed and give them a real building with most likely a facility, a bathroom down there to use year-round. And we could also use it for storage for highway stuff during the winter months, like the street sweeper and stuff. It would be heated, so that wouldn't have to be left outside over the winter, or take up a bay at the garage where a plow truck could be in the garage of that facility.
Do you want to talk to Steve Carroll, was here 2 days ago? Do you want to just talk about how he was talking about changes to the existing shed and them moving, and they have a request in for
Right, I
changes?
know they have a request for a new building too. I believe it's to repair their current facility, their maintenance facility garage, and to add on to it. Right now, we've kind of worked with them. We've stored some of their not so good equipment that they'd like to get rid of in our old salt shed, and we've moved into the building there. And I know the idea may be that, hey, if we're able, Public Works is able to take over that, we call it the Palmer Building, where the high school parking lot is. If we're able to have full use of that, then that'll fix things. Unfortunately, it won't. If we were able to get this building, we can move out of there totally, and the school could have full use of that building.
So then they wouldn't need anything.
I can't speak.
All right. But it would change their need. It would,
Yes,
they would have access to your building, that building.
right, yeah, they would have full access.
I know, yeah, I'm not asking you to speak for the education department.
Okay, what,
But just to think, because that size building isn't the size you need something.
No, the price to get that, the building that we would get, I believe, is 25 by about 50. 3 or 4 bays, that there is one garage.
the building, the school building that we're talking about is the cinder block building on the left as you're going by the baseball field?
Correct, so there's two of them. So their maintenance garage is up by the high school, by
Right.
where the concession stand, I guess, would be for the track. But this is the Palmer Building, which I'm referring to, is that one by the baseball field.
They were talking about rebuilding or repairing the
That's what Nate said.
the building.
They're talking about repairing the ones up by the bleachers and up by those, yeah.
Correct, they're looking to upgrade that one, which is very old, and I believe add a section onto it.
Yeah, they've got a series of sheds, he called it a
Correct. They're
tag
kind
sale or a
they're kind of in the same
flea
boat
market.
we are, yeah.
Yeah, and what occurred to me is it might make more sense to address that issue as part of the project when they do the cracking.
I'm not sure what they were looking for. I think last time I talked to Steve Carroll, I believe he was trying to get the design money to design that. I'm not sure.
Well,
I don't know.
So the bottom line here is, if we fund their building and the request from the school department becomes moot, because the school department can go back and they'll get full use of the Palmer building.
They'll have full use of that. I don't know if that's going to suffice
I'm
what
not
they're
sure.
trying to do.
But you're not buying into any trade deals, okay?
No, I think that's an accurate statement of what we're dealing with here.
All right, that's good to know.
It's one of the.
Great.
Next one is line 51, the dam safety inspection program. Recently, the town discovered we have 2 dams, and we had a consultant come in, the consultant registered the 2 dams with DEEP. The town's required to register them, which we conducted with the consultant. These funds, these additional funds we're asking for will be for compliance and for maintenance. As with any asset, we have to have recommended maintenance that we anticipate. Some of the things would be vegetation removal, tree removals, possible survey. We thought that $10,000 was a good starting point.
So when you say the town discovers it has 2 dams, you mean the town owns 2
The
dams?
town owns 2
We're
dams.
responsible.
Where are they?
First one is, as you're going up Flanders Road, near the Shalandossi neighborhood, there's a little embankment berm that holds the pond back right there. That's the first one, and the second one is with, they're both for the ice house. But they call the other one the ice house one.
Right.
It's back off the cove on Route 1, take it right out of Flanders, just go that little ways to hit the cove. And then there's a gray house right there. You can get behind that, and it's behind there that was installed with a small fish ladder.
Correct.
Right, yeah.
My recollection is 20 years ago, 15, 20 probably years ago now, we got wrapped around the axle with a dam on private property, so.
Yeah, well, I think I know what you're talking about, but, so this is to do, like I said, compliance, maintenance, and possible future survey to see if there's any encroachments on private property.
Okay. So, I guess we're at engineering now, which I assume means Chris is back up.
So line 55, this is the second account that supports the Bridge Preservation Program. And this fund provides what I like to call the seed money, and this is what we utilize for all, so we'll call an engineer, and this will support any type of diagnostic analysis, destructive testing, non-destructive testing. Got a call from the fire chief. You're going to see in the CIP Collins Road, they had a new piece of equipment. We had the consultant evaluate the bridge deck. It's a cattle crossing if you've been on Collins Road. It's from 1930. And we used this account money to perform the analysis. We did some destructive testing. We tested the steel. What we found was that the load rating on the bridge could not only support the new apparatus for fire, but it has the lowest rating that you could give a bridge at 2 tons. So this immediately spawned a design. So we had to come back to this design account to start a design such that, again, the seed money, get an engineer's opinion of cost, so that we could come to you folks with a number or request funding such that we'd have another bridge. And what this does is, when we perform analyses, we look to see if there's any state money available. And that's exactly what we're going to do. But I wanted to demonstrate, just give you an example of during the course of the year, in between the CIP cycles, this in collaboration with the interim structural account. If we can't do something that's minor through the interim structural account or use it as backstop, we definitely need this as our seed money to perform those analyses. The other thing it does is it gives us a strategic preservation as far as, a hierarchy, which bridge is worse, and the availability to prepare concept plans to go to a state agency. If we don't receive state funding, then we know we have to go it alone. And then we prepare ourselves, posture ourselves with an engineer's opinion of cost to come back to the Board of Finance so that we can explain to you. In this case, Collins is in dire need of repair. It has the lowest offload rating. But not having the seed account, we would have to determine, we'd be in an emergent type situation to figure out how we were going to keep our bridge preservation program moving ahead. So these two accounts support your 17 bridges, the net asset value of roughly $42 million. So I just wanted to give you an example of why we need it and what the current ask is. Real time, there was $56,000 left in the account, and I know as of today, we're roughly down to $34,000. I worked with the first selectman and Jim just on 2 change orders on 2 other existing proposals that we have with designs. Things change, scope of work changes, we execute change orders, so that number you have in front of you it's actually reduced now to 34. So this would be something, Commissioner Winchester, you would ask about value engineering. We're going to explore that. If we don't get state money, spoiler alert, on the Collins Road in May, we'll find out about that in July. We're going to look at some value engineering and maybe designing the bridge another way, a different style, perhaps. So that's exactly what I was speaking to. You asked a very good question. It would come out of this account. So even designs that we're currently working on, if we don't get funding from the feds or with the state, we have to look at it and value engineer it, it would come from this account. So it has multi-functions. The other thing it does is it supports when we reevaluate our assets. Every 5 years we're due. This year, we're actually the remaining 7 bridges that we haven't done repairs and replacements to. We're assigned a change order to have the consultant look at those bridges. It's been 5 years. We want to reevaluate those as part of our asset management plan. Their overall rating, sufficiency rating, roads have road surface rating, bridges have sufficiency rating. As they deteriorate, if they fall into certain categories, having this live data or this new data will assist us in applying for grants or mechanisms through state and federal. So very, very important account, and it's seed money for your bridge preservation program.
A couple of questions. With climate change and, especially with us being an oceanside community, what sort of process do you use to make sure that you future build rather than rebuild something to the current specifications?
It's a great question. So this Collins Road Bridge, when you apply for state and federal money, there's a lot of strings attached. There's a lot of permitting. And they'll dictate from that permitting, and I hope I'm answering your question, because this is going to come up with Collins Road. So as part of the application for the money, you'll have certain permitting. For instance, fisheries or threatened species, they may want a natural bottom versus box culvert. So if we don't get the money from the state, if we apply and they give us a certificate to fund, we're going to evaluate that based on the type of structure they're expecting us to build. We'll still evaluate that and come back to you, and if we feel in this case for Collins, if we could put in a triple pipe or a box culvert and not take the money, in the long run make out better, that's exactly what we're going to do with Collins Road. So that's a great question, because so we're going to apply for Collins. This seed money allowed us the opportunity to come up with a concept plan. If we hit all our benchmarks, we're looking to apply for the state local bridge program for Collins. So we get double credit. We're going to talk about Collins. And then by July, they will come back and tell us whether they're going to give us a certificate to fund. If it's yes, and it's $2.5 million, and we're going to participate $1 million, we may look at a different avenue where maybe we only spend $500,000 of our money, and we can maybe have the engineer look at, a pipe or a box culvert for the long run, because it's every bridge is different in its own way, what it serves, the amount of traffic, truckload, ADT. So great questions, but this account imperative to make the whole program work and to keep us live and current with an asset management program so we can list them and demonstrate to them that we've inspected this bridge as of a year ago, and this is our rating. Helps us with qualifying for the requirements for these opportunities. If you allow me to speak further in the future, you'll see that we've been very successful in Stonington with both federal grant and state local. So this is probably our most important account that serves the bridge preservation program. However, understanding that we have so many bridges and such a large asset value, the structural account is important because something could fail along the way, and that's why that may help us limp between years until we can make a much larger effort.
Well, it's a great idea to spend a little on the front end and potentially save quite a bit downstream, no pun intended. And it seems that the state works in mysterious ways, that sometimes they'll agree to fund half, sometimes they'll pony up for the whole amount. Unless I misread it, they're willing to fund the entire cost of Tagwong,
Correct.
but only half the cost for Mason's Island.
Correct.
And that we have to pay up front, and then they reimburse us for whatever they've agreed to on the front end.
Yeah, come on. I love talking about bridges. You go first. I was just gonna say,
Go ahead, Diane.
so it's interesting, like, obviously, anytime, there's all these different bridge programs that Chris alluded to, and there's different criteria for all of them. And the bridge program that Chris created, the way, I also love the fields, but the way Paul feels about the fields, I feel about bridges and drainage. But the consultant and Chris work together, and they do, like, any ones that would fund 100%, we'd go after and try and get. But oftentimes, like the Masons Island, others, they either weren't eligible or weren't chosen. So then you go to the state and local bridge program that is that 50. So the Tagwong one was a really special case that was pretty rare. I think that was the only time in the last decade that we've been chosen for that program for anything. So that was a pretty unique case. I think the best case usually is that state local bridge program. sometimes it might meet a federal criteria, but it's really all the criteria and sometimes luck. But it is, the Tog Walk one was pretty special.
Yeah, and Gene, I think kind of in your question was, you were asking about, you know, are they designing to accommodate things like rising sea level? Okay, and specifically for, I believe, and the answer for the Masons Island Bridge is the bridge deck will be higher than the current bridge.
Correct.
And
Right?
Chris has done a lot of outreach, and you'd be surprised that there's no, even, prior administrations, anytime, there was never a federal standard that we could find, or state, and we worked with like, you've gone to Avery Point, different, Circa, which is like a, pretty big specialist in this field, so I mean, the bridge is designed to be higher, but it's been frustrating that there's no standard in which to base these decisions on. And obviously, you can only go so high if the road isn't being raised, so those are tricky. It's a good question, it's just really hard.
Thank you for that, by the way. And, and kudos to your former first selectwoman, because this isn't an I story. This is your bridge preservation program, and largely due to the effort of the former first selectwoman, she went after that federal grant, and it's our job as staff members to work with our consultants to meet timelines, to have the funding, to look at the bridges, to work with them, to get a concept design, to fulfill the requirements of these grants. We've had others that we've gone after and we've been unsuccessful, but I think overall our batting average is very high, and the investment we make, because we know at the end of the day, whatever investment we make in this isn't a study, these are preliminary engineering designs, so if we're unsuccessful with the grant, we can springboard off that to a final design. It's, it takes a village, and your former first selectwoman was front and center on the grants, and we're always scurrying working with Jim to find money, and that's why I really wanted to emphasize this account, your bridge engineering and design account, because it does so many things to support. It's a major asset. It's north of 40 million, and there's 17 of them. And I think our neighbors next door, they were amazed because we did the admin for the White Rock Bridge, and they said, we don't have any bridges really to speak of, so they appreciated us taking the lead on it, and they shared the cost and supported us in the project, but we took the lead. So, I can't emphasize enough, there's 17 bridges, 5 orphan bridges, one of those being Alpha Avenue Bridge, so we're working with state agencies with that, and we have responsibilities to a certain extent for those as well. So, the money that you see, there's operational money. I don't want to really go down the silo, but we have 5 orphan bridges that are over the Amtrak, and it used to be National Passenger Railroad. We have a responsibility for the deck on those, your sidewalk, your curb, your fencing, your lights, and so on and so forth. So there's quite a bit of responsibility, the partnership we have with the state for this asset value. That asset value doesn't even cover the 5 orphan bridges, but we do have an account for maintenance. So it's quite an investment that the town needs to support the bridge program.
I would like to add something too. Just to note, the federal congressional earmarks grants for applications for that just opened up on Monday. They're due Friday. As we sit here, Molly, our grant writer, is writing like the front ends on some applications here for different projects. Chris and I are meeting tomorrow to determine if we get any of these grants, any of these bridge projects or other projects we have might fit into any of the grants, and try and get these things done and out the door by Friday. It's always a lot of pressure to move fast on this stuff, and it takes a lot of hard work from everybody involved at the town.
If there's anybody, Chris, did you have a question?
Yes, so Jim, we've approved $100,000 for bridge engineering and design in the bond, in phase 1 of the bond. Does the 50,000 in the account shown here include the 100,000 or not? Is that above and beyond the 50,000?
Let me see.
Because I'm guessing we haven't expended any of that 100,000 in the bond fund. Ooh, I stumped it. just wondering if the amount that we have on hand is showing 56,000 in addition to the 100,000, or is that inclusive of the 100,000?
I'm trying to pull up the bond,
Yep.
the bond schedule right now.
But we can come back to that if it's a problem.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, in the interest of moving along a little quicker, because it's 9 o'clock, why don't we keep going, and when we get it somewhere down the road, we can get an answer to that question.
Line 57, Mr. Chairman?
Actually, before you go to, I just have, again, 56, there's some money sitting there, and it's probably, must be sitting, been sitting there for a while. What is, well, you're going to Holmes Street Bridge repairs, so can you talk to both of those lines? Where are we going with Holmes Street Bridge?
Home Street Bridge, line 57?
Yeah.
Home Street Bridge repairs, this was the short story on this. This was a bridge we were looking at. We had some ashlar stone masonry, which is that decorative stone on the side of the bridge. And structurally, it's more esoteric. It'll protect against some of the ice damming and flow, a nice architectural finish. Some of it was peeling off. Originally, I thought we could do something with a structural interim repair. And unfortunately, we were posturing ourselves for a repair with that methodology. And then, unfortunately, yours truly inspecting in the field, what I had noticed over the last couple of years is that it started deteriorating at a much greater rate. And now there's failure below the water level. So I had the engineer look at it. We had a change order for them to take it in a different direction, because as soon as you touch the water, now it's DEP permitting. Now we have a water handling plan. Now the cost is going to excel as well. So the number you have before you is for a much greater effort. We're seeing, experiencing what I saw was it's not just the ashlar stone masonry above the water line, it's below, it's the wing wall caps. We want to catch it before it becomes a structural issue. We've had an update to the cost as of November. We currently sit at $303,000. This would be something, depending on the permitting, this project could go very quick, but we do need additional funds, and that's why you see the additional request.
Is there money already set aside for this, or
Just design.
just design?
Yeah, we have design to cover inspection and bid documents. It's just that we needed a change order because the design scope had changed. So again, we pulled from that seed account, and that's why the number you see in the design accounts is lower. It's a very fluid account.
Just thinking ahead, if we have to make cuts, anything, like what would be the implication of putting this off again?
Well, it is deteriorating at a much faster rate, and before it gets behind ashlar stone and becomes structural, it is recommended. It's not a heavy lift. A lot of this, believe it or not, we are value engineering. Like 100,000 of this is water handling, diversion of water, DEP permits, and timelines. That's what happens when you get below the water line, and it bogs you down with permitting and time. But I would still highly recommend it, because the deterioration that we're seeing is now reflective to the top of the wing wall caps. It's very concerning, and that's why I had the consultant come back in and we took another look at this.
Thank you.
Chris, long term, the Holmes Street Bridge, it seems like we have some concerns about flooding on Holmes Street specifically. So in the Resilient Mystic study that they just did last August, I believe, they specifically call out this bridge as something that will be inundated. If I might quote directly, flood modeling shows that the Holmes Street will be subject to daily tidal inundation, and they actually have a recommendation to replace it with a pedestrian walkway and abandon it as a roadway. Have you seen that?
No.
Okay.
Just a word, Chris, we did talk about this, they were talking about like Home Street, the next one, got pushed off because there was a talk about would it just be for pedestrian use versus automobile use? When we went through like the bond conversation, like,
Are you talking about the planning study or the wall that we had grant for the wall years ago through a circuit grant? There was work that we did there to look at replacing the wall or augmenting the wall or changing the wall. But are you talking about a different planning study that was done recently?
This is the realistic study done last summer by
Yeah,
Serco.
I haven't read that one through, but the circle one I have.
I think just the one that Kristen really, where it was like the bigger discussion, and Clifton led the discussion about, that the concept was, should there be a future discussion, should Home Street at some point be shut down to vehicle traffic, because it's gonna be potentially inundated. And so I think the question was like, what should we do with the structural work of the actual bridge?
The bridge would be necessarily, in my opinion, because there's acres of water that come into the cove via Fraser. Public Works, when I first got here, you actually replaced the outlet. So regardless of what we do with the wall, the bridge would have to remain titled as an outlet to the stormwater that's on the eastern side of the cove. Is that a fair assessment? So we would need something to convey water from the land that goes into the cove and pass through whatever remains. And unless there's a plan to remove the road and the bridge entirely, otherwise we have water that's going to enter the cove from the east that needs to pass out into the river.
Right, so yes, the idea is to remove the road and the bridge
Okay.
and build well, they pictured a very nice wooden pedestrian walkway in place, but that, I'll leave that up to the engineers.
Bill, did you have a comment you wanted to make?
Just in terms of that study and that regularly flooding, does it give a time horizon for that?
It just says sometime in the 21st century. Unfortunately, we don't have exact data on this. They're also talking about the stormwater infrastructure in that area as well, and you touched upon that too. And in addition to this study, they were asking for a follow-up stormwater study to actually get a full picture of the water in that area, so we can understand what the inundation of Home Street will be and when that inundation will occur. So I don't think we have a complete picture here, but we have part of a picture, and that part of a picture does not paint this in a rosy light that this road will be accessible in the long term.
Agreed, in the long term, but Chris, I think you're saying that failing to address this bridge is going to start deteriorating pretty rapidly, as in years, maybe 10 years. Is that, am I overspeaking?
Correct.
Okay.
I
So
just
we're
wanted to
really
make sure
buying
that
some
we're-
time
we're-
to bridge that gap.
We're putting good money into this and not having to undo the work that we do now. And that if we're spending money on Home Street, we're spending its money. That's all. And Chris, I would advise you to do this idea, please.
Chris, just to answer your earlier question about the design money, that 50,000 in the SIP and the 100,000 in the bond fund would be additive, so it's 150 they're asking for in total.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, Chris, do you want to continue?
So line 58 is Collins Road Bridge.
That's been moved to the bond, so. No, that hasn't?
No, just a teeny tiny bit.
Oh, small amount was moved to the bond.
So what we're asking for, just very quickly, that's $64,000. That would be for final design. So right now, we have enough design money to get us a concept design to go to the state this May. We're hoping to hear in July whether or not we're successful with that certificate to fund. Either way, whether we go the route of the state or if we're unsuccessful, that $64,000 is for the final design of whatever structure that we value engineer at that time. Whether it's
Kristen, hold on here. Because the Board of Selectmen appears to have moved that 64,000 to the bond, because they zeroed.
Oh, it's all in the bond.
Yes.
It's 764. You're
What's
correct.
that?
764, you're correct.
Yeah. So,
So we can take that out of SIP?
it's not, it's been taken out, I believe. Because the Board of Selectmen found this 64 with parentheses around it, which, and this, so it's not in their proposed budget. Yeah, it's been moved to the bond.
I just wanted to explain to the commission that
Sure, go ahead.
the 64 would have been for the final design. So I'm looking at July 1. By the time the state gets back to us, they should get back to us in July. I'm asking for money for $64,000. Successful or not, we'll need that for final design to come up with some type of, I hesitate to say, well, I'll say structure. It could be a pipe, could be a box, could be a bridge, depending on the avenue, and I'll be coming back. So the Board of Selectmen voted to take the 64 and the estimate for some measure, it's a high-level estimate, and that 764 is what you see in the bond. They took the 64 CIP request, and on my CIP sheet, I put down roughly 700. That is a very high-level number at this point, because I'm just trying to cover both bases. If the state asked us to participate versus if we had to do something. But currently, that's in the bond. Line number 60, Mason Island Bridge Design and Rehabilitation.
I think we can move down to line 63.
Yeah, I think we can, anything that's been dealt with in the bond, I think you can, just in the interest of time, you can just move along. Thanks, Chris. So that puts us at what, 63?
63. Fourth District Hall Drainage Phase 2.
This has been around for a while.
It's been around for a while. So the short story is what we've learned since we put the title box in. The property to the west has been experiencing, or has been brought to our attention, that there has been a failure in the box culvert. It's a rectangular section that conveys water to the west. So we're working with our consultant. Currently, the high-level estimate is $235. We're working on possibly value engineering a solution. So the $235 we're looking at right now is the number that we want to go with to replace the sections. The neighbor next door is experiencing soil loss due to head pressure. Just the water is backing up. It's very shallow. We're elevation like 2 on top, and you know we have tides that are 3 or higher. So what's happening is that when you have that pressure in a box that's failed underground, it's very shallow, it daylights up and starts taking soil out of the yard. So right now, that's the estimate that we're going with, because we're trying to look at another value engineered solution, and we're also doing I mentioned earlier, we're going to be cleaning some of the box culvert to the east and also videoing that. And because I figure if we're going to have a contractor come in and do work, I want to make sure if we have similar work to the east, I may be coming back to you folks to say economy of scale, maybe we should do both sides. But right now, the 235 is for the work to the west.
And if this actually works, what is this going to accomplish? What's the end game?
So the end game is, it's still going to flood there. It's a topographic sink. We've done test pits. There's peat, there's marsh. It's been filled in.
So it's going to flood in that parking lot?
It'll still flood.
Okay.
It's going to be, hopefully, if you have the king tide, if it rains at the same time we have a very high tide, it's going to flood, just like Washington Street, because it's just so low.
Yep.
And water seeks its own level.
That's fine.
But if it's a very high tide and it's not raining, that tidal gate has a certain efficacy that it's going to retard the flow, but it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to give you some relief.
Okay. So is Church Street going to keep flooding? Is St. Patrick parking lot keep flooding?
When we say flood, I'm going to say yes, because if it's raining at the same
a rain and a high tide?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's all I want to know.
Correct.
All right.
That's the best we can do.
All right, that's all I want to know, is what to expect. All right, thank you.
What's that little building used for?
Fourth District Hall, we tried to rehabilitate it now over the last couple of years. We put some new windows in there, cleaned it up, painted did some retrim work, cleaned the bathrooms up. Right now, the bathrooms are used by the police department, our employees, as a place in Mystic to use a facility. We were trying to, even when Danielle was first selected, we were trying to find a way to make it a meeting space, a proper meeting space. Of course, that opens up the risk management part. If I have people coming down the building, we had a couple proposals to use it as office space, as a flexible office space for different departments or different entities. So I guess the short answer is, it's a historic building that is sinking into this parking lot area, and it's going to continue to do so. It's a brick building, masonry building. We fixed the roof. We fixed the two gable ends of the building that were rotting away. So it's a multi-purpose use. I've offered it up in some town hall staff meetings. If someone is having a consultant come in, there's no meeting space in the conference room, they could go use that now. There's proper bathrooms, men's and women's, and it's cleaned up enough where you could have a conference table there and use it. Very small space, square footage wise, historic, obviously. So it's got its good parts, but a lot of bad parts too.
It seems like it requires a lot of upfront costs and a fair degree of maintenance. And particularly with sea level rise, it's going to require more and more. So if I understood you correctly, there are a lot of potential uses, but actual utilization doesn't seem like there's much happening.
You're correct.
But at the same time, it is nice to have our, like over on the Groton side of Mystic, they have a bathroom, and police officers, police to park, and they got a bathroom there, and they got a little office. This really gives you guys, when they're coming through town, park there, use the bathroom, police officer, use the bathroom.
Police use it for special events also, like art festival, that type of stuff.
And you have local, yeah, and you have little short-term storage you use it for, so, you know, for what it is, you're in it all the time.
Yeah.
It's-
We're having a parade event there, we'll put our barricades inside, we'll put other things,
Yeah.
we'll put
So it's,
access banners and that kind of thing in the rear of the building.
yeah, so it's not, I don't think, I know Harbor Commission tried to use it at some point. When I was in the facilities committee, we looked at different, but it's not, the bathroom's too small, it's not ADA accessible.
Exactly.
And in order to do those kind of things, they would have to put a lot of work into it. But basically what you did is you made it look kind of pretty, kind of cute, it's hanging out. And if it ever falls down, it falls down. But right now, it's really serving it seems like a pretty good purpose. Because where would you go if it wasn't there?
Well,
You gotta go up to Old Mystic, basically, right?
it's also historic, which means, to a certain extent, I think we're stuck with it.
Yeah, I kinda like it. I used to vote there. I kinda like it.
But the money here in SIP is strictly for the culvert.
Yeah, nothing to do with the
It's
building.
nothing to do with the building.
Right.
I think that's what we're.
Okay, so talk about Road Bridge. That's,
Line 64, Togwalk Road Bridge. The ask is for $2,628,000. Short conversation, this is a terrific benefit to the town for the fact that number that you see will be directly reimbursed. We were successful in a lot SIP grant. So as soon as we bid this project, we give the state the final design, the final plans, they review it. And the way this grant works is pursuant to their review and acceptance of all the terms and the costs, they will issue a check prior to construction for that full amount. Obviously, if that changes, that'll be a topic of discussion with the state if they acquiesce. But just so you know, and that'll be, once we get the plans into them, once it's bid, it's after the bid prior to award, they will issue that check. So we paid for the design, that was our component, roughly 170-ish thousand or so. But currently, that's the current design estimate as of November of '25. So that's a fantastic award for the town. So Jim, I don't know how that works as far as like a revenue account, but that money will.
So there's an offsetting revenue account, revenue number in line 135. It's the other revenue sources. So that $2,628,000 is 100% offset by a grant That's included in the $5 million in line 135.
Okay, so the net effect on the mill rate here is 0? Okay. So no brainer, right?
Line 65, Quantico Cove Road Drainage. The current ask for $100,000. We have a few basins and pipe that outlets to a marsh area that just we need a channel. We need the permitting, we need designs, we need easements. This is a project that's going to take months of permitting. The design will probably take a couple of months, and the project will probably take 2 weeks. The dynamic of this is that we're going to have to deal with deep to recreate a swale into the cove. We're going to have the pipes jetted and cleaned and videoed, but right now that's a very high level number until we get pipes jet rotted and cleaned and we get a consultant on board. But what's happening is that pipe's been impregnated with just the leaf detritus, the marsh, the walls of the swale that was once there. You can't even really see the remains of it. The water's just bubbling up and it backs up into the road. So it's one of the projects that's fallen into the CIP because just given the size of it. But in the terms of time, it'll be done very quickly once we get it designed and permitted. It'll be designed by an outside consultant.
Okay, so that gets us almost to the, I have a question about something that's actually not here, but I'm just wondering, it had been here in the past, and I know we funded the Noyes Avenue seawall. What is just, I don't know where it was in the CIP budget before, but what's the plan there?
So I think the plan is at this time is that that's one of the projects that, let's say that we put the pause button on. That's something that we have to do something as far as the road. And the wall is integral to the road. And we had a preliminary design done for that. And they came back with 4 options. And one of the options is a very large structural wall, which would be years-long permitting, replacement of the road, and one of the other options was retreat, where serves a private community, and one of the topics of discussion is that we could just rebuild a gravel road that can flood and deed it over to the inhabitants there because it really doesn't serve. So it's a high-level leadership question that through planning, my recommendation is that we marry this with, when we get a planner on board, we add it to the list of vulnerable assets that we have in the town and develop a plan such that what is the hierarchy? Commissioner Chris brought up a question of perhaps we can get rid of a road and the bridge on homes rather than investing this money. And that's why I asked you the question whether or not, was one alternative to remove it, because it's a much larger question. So we hit the pause button. We had a preliminary design to give us 4 options, but now it really gets pushed back up to a planning effort. And if I'm involved, or I recommend that when we do get the planner and we look at our vulnerable assets, Home Street should be looked at, Noyes should be looked at. If you ask an engineer, Chris, what's important to you as a vulnerable asset? I've told both first selectmen that it's the WPCA, because you have something that, until it's replaced, has to be procured. Otherwise, you're going to have a decree consent to abide by, sanitation for the town. So that project was put on hold because it really needs to be looked at in the light of all the vulnerable assets. That's a planning effort.
In terms of being on hold, what kind of time frame are we talking about, do you think?
As far as?
If it were if it was, a decision was made to, proceed with a project there, how far out do you think that is?
It's a loaded question because the permitting needed for a wall to work directly in water is a very long time, the permitting process, versus if you have a retreat where you're going to be disassembling a wall and removing it, and maybe just putting in an elevated gravel road that would facilitate fire, you know, as kind of olive leaf to the folks there that live there, because it's predominantly private. It's not a public space for the public to go. So it's not a decision your engineer should make. It's a decision that should be in the realm of planning through a commission. It's going to weigh all your vulnerable assets, put it on a list as far as a hierarchy, and then action it. So with everything that we had that we knew that had to move, and the lack of resources and personnel, a decision was made that we would put that as a pause until we got an economic development coordinator and a planner, and revisit it.
Okay. All right. I don't want to derail this, get any further off topic here, because I would like to get us out of here sooner rather than later. But I'll come have a chat with you about that one, because I got some other questions, but we can talk about that later.
You should involve Bill.
Can I go back?
Sure,
One
Mike.
question on the, there's two Home Street line items, the wall replacement. Looks like there's $37,500 there, and then there's the $303,000.
Yes. So the 303,000 is for the bridge, and the 3,750, I believe, Jim might be able to help me, I believe that's residual from the preliminary design or study that we had done through a circuit grant. And that's, I believe that's what the 3,750 is. I think that's
Could that be used towards the 303?
Maybe, maybe not. But
Okay.
one of the things we are going to do, because there are little pockets of money like that,
Right.
that have either been, you know, this residual, there's some stuff that hasn't been touched yet. Jim is gonna be running a report to kind of go look for those pockets, and we'll figure out what we can do with them.
Thanks, Bill.
Okay, so,
Line 71, MS4 DCIA project.
yep,
We're asking for, I believe, 50,000 this year. That money and the money that remains in the account, I'm asking for a little bit more this year because I'm looking to bookend the money that we're going to spend on Spellman, DCIA directly connected impervious areas. What that means is that the town, much like residents and other businesses, are required to disconnect their impervious areas. So we're not above the law. So we have designed some bioretention, and basically what that means is that they call it the first flush. When it first rains, we divert the first 1.3 inches of water now. It used to be 1 inch. And we'll divert it through a best management practice. Could be a bioretention, could be a structural element. In this case, the town is in award of $500,000 that's being administered through the ECCD. And we have certain requirements where our department's going to participate both through sweat equity with resources, manpower, equipment, and we're going to install certain BMPs in collaboration with ECCD. And we have the opportunity, we have designed in-house with the part-time engineer that we have that's an expert in LID. And so we have designs. So I'm asking for a little bit of more money this year in addition to what we have in the account to make sure that we cover not only our obligation, but it's an opportunity where we have another bioretention cell. And I think it's an ideal location given its geographic location, the close proximity to a school and learning and the magnitude, the number of people that go there. So that's why you see such a high request this year for that, because we're looking to bookend that ECCD grant.
Wait, so there was a lot of letters you threw out there.
I know.
Okay, and I didn't catch much of them. What I'm getting is this is basically rain remediation? Is it basically water overflow remediation? Is that what this is?
More stormwater quality, not volume. It helps you with volume, but the intent, the impetus for it is to clean the water.
Filter it before it
Yes.
goes to the main. Okay.
That's the.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
Well, you remember Hama
Yes.
got a D minus, it's like one of the worst schools in the
Mhm.
state. Like this would directly help that. I mean, Amtrak would help it the most, but this would help it a bit, like those types of projects.
Got it.
So I think we're at 75, is it agreed? This is one, I kind of think that DPW inherited from the police department. They wanted some new windows in the building. I just want to give a 30-second history on what we've done there before. Typically, since that new police department was built, the building, they've managed their own capital projects, their own HVAC, most of all the major things, maintenance and repairs on the building. So this was somewhat of a surprise. It got grouped into facilities. We're glad to take a look at it. I think when the chief originally carved this out, he had $4 or $15,000 going together to make a total of $60 for the project cost. I don't feel that's going to get the project done in 4 years. Certainly won't get it done. They had one estimator for some windows that are around $42,000 or $43,000, materials only just for the windows. So I guess it would be up to the board if you wanted to grant this $15,000 as a placeholder or whatever you guys were comfortable with doing. And then give us some time to evaluate it better and develop a complete project plan. What's an estimate, an accurate
Well,
numbers.
the Board of Selectmen added $45,000 to that. So they put it up to 60, so.
Yeah.
Tom doesn't think it's
I
gonna,
don't think
that's
you're gonna
enough.
get done for the 60.
Yeah.
I really don't. We can cost it out again and get some other prices.
Okay, so you're saying, give you 15,
Maybe it's a placeholders type of thing.
As a placeholder.
15, and
Alright,
we try to find out, yeah.
all right. We will,
It's a comfort level thing. I don't know, I just, I would say,
we
my gut
can-
tells me we
I
can't
think,
get done for that.
I think there's some more discussion, in terms, I think I want to talk to the first selectman offline, because we did have a conversation about this briefly at one point. We need to get to a better number, and what you're telling me is this may be a little further down the road.
I feel it is.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
We're happy to do the legwork on it, so I'm not trying to say that, just want to make sure that we get a number that everyone's comfortable with, that we get the project done for.
Okay.
And I understand there's an issue there,
Yep.
but I just wanted the board to understand the history on it.
And how you inherited it.
Yes.
Well, to be fair, I pushed it. It was in the police department's SIPA request, and I pushed it on the facilities committee, facilities department. I just felt that a project of that magnitude, that's where it should be. But based on staffing at DPW and how overwhelmed they are now, they would like to have it put back into the police department's budget and let their facilities manager deal with it for now. They're not prepared to take on any more work.
It's exactly what I didn't want to do.
All right, well, we've got a little time to figure this one out.
We do.
All right, anybody have any other questions? All right, gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you very much for your
Is
patience.
there anything else you guys want to say?
I just wanted to thank everyone. We know it's a lot of information to digest. We deal with it and live with it every day. So if anyone does have any other questions, they can email us, let us know. We'll get you answered the best that we can, as fast as we can. As I even said about that one spreadsheet you get, it's a lot of stuff. And it's a big budget. So we try to do our best with it and give you guys the most transparency at the same time. Thank you all.
Okay. Yeah, over here and then we'll move on. Yeah, thanks again. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the bid waiver on the roll-on, roll-off truck. Jim, is that overcome by events, or what's the
Yeah, since we were never able to get
Get a price
we
and-
were able to identify a vehicle that's kind of on hold. If something happens in the next couple of weeks, I'm able to, the dealer
Right,
is able
okay.
to identify a machine, we'll revisit it.
Okay, so the next thing up is so we're gonna table that. And the next thing is the line item transfers, which I'm gonna let Jim explain.
Okay, the first one was for a line item transfer for $113,500 from 3 SIP accounts, and that was actually to fund the roll-off truck in this fiscal year versus having it in next year, the final allocation, appropriation for it to fully fund it in next year's budget. We're not going to do that now just because we haven't identified a vehicle that we can purchase in this current fiscal year. So what I'm proposing to do in lieu of that is instead of transferring the $50,000, the $10,000, and the $53,500 from the accounts identified to the roll-off truck line, we'll cross out roll-off truck line and transfer it to SIP funds undesignated, unrestricted fund balance. That way, that money will just go into fund balance in the SIP account, and we can reallocate it within the SIP budget as we like.
Okay, so that's, the agenda has a $50,000 transfer from the Waterwater restroom project and a $63,500 transfer from the fire retention accounts, is that?
Well, there's 2 final retention accounts. There's one from 22-23, which was the planning department's final retention account, and then there's one from the 23-24 building department final retention account. So it's $10,000 from the 22-23 account, and it's $53,500 from the 23-24 account. Did I provide the detail with the?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, so.
And it adds up to 113.
Yeah.
Got it. All right, I was just, my paperwork got scrambled a little bit.
So just by dumping that back into fund balance, what you'd be able to do, if, everybody put their budgets away, budget books away, I'll refer you back to the budget document. At line 135, right below line 135, where the offset to that $2.68 million grant was, is a line above that, line 134, is reappropriation of SIP fund balance from defunct projects. That $113,000 would now be a defunct project that we would be able to reallocate to that line 134 to offset any of the SIP costs above.
You guys follow what we're doing, we're moving some money so that we can offset some stuff in next year's budget, in next year's SIP budget.
Excellent idea, Jim.
Okay, so somebody want to give me make a motion to do the budget transfers of $50,000 from the Wanwack Square restrooms, $10,000 from the planning department file retention, and $53,500 from the file retention building department account for a total of $113,500, and we're transferring that to the SIP line item for Jim's. Just
Undesignated fund balance.
undesignated fund balance.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so Gene made the motion, Chris seconded. Any discussion?
Jim, just, can you talk to why we have the overage in the file retention accounts? Is that for file digitization projects?
Yes.
Okay.
The planning department came in way lower than they anticipated.
So we completed the retention project,
Ford planning department.
more or less.
Building never even got off the ground.
Okay.
And with the way the office is consolidated now, until there's a land use director in place to jumpstart this again, I think we could start pulling from that.
Yeah, but potentially we'd have another file retention project to fund in the future when the department gets settled.
Yeah, but
Okay.
that's not taking all of it. There's still some left in the building department.
Okay.
So there's money there to get started on it, if not complete it.
Excellent, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no opposition, no abstentions. That's good. I don't think we have any other,
Yeah, there's one more line item transfer.
oh, I'm sorry, you're right.
That's the $1,350.
Right, so can I,
Pardon? Somebody say something?
no, go ahead. Is there anything you want to say?
Yeah, if you recall, last meeting or the meeting before that, we did a line item transfer for the $20,000 for the stipend for the Board of Ed IT director. So we did that, and they paid him the $20,000, and Board of Ed got back to me and said, well, we need the $1,350 for the payroll taxes on that $20,000 stipend. So for $1,300, I said, let's just do it instead of getting into a piss and match over that, so.
Okay, so can I get a motion to approve the budget transfer from the Director of Finance of $1,350 to the Board of Ed line, and where are we pulling this from?
That's,
White Rock.
From White Rock?
Rock, yep.
From the White Rock Bridge project to the Board of Ed,
Yeah,
Okay.
looks like that line, looks like it got cut off here, and that's, add more description there.
So moved.
Second?
any discussion?
Chris and Mike.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So Chris made the motion, Paul,
Mike-
second,
Mike.
Mike seconded. That brings us to the last item on our agenda, which is any discussion of budget hearing meeting dates. I don't think there's any changes to our schedule, so I think we are done. So can I get a motion to adjourn? Second, so one of you guys made, Paul made the motion, Chris seconded. Huh?
David seconded.
Huh? David seconded, I'm sorry. And all those in favor say aye.
Aye. We're adjourned. I don't think we sound alike.